Gather around, freaks. It's Thursday, October 31st, which means it's Samhain. That's right. Also, it's All Hallows Eve. We're having a party, and you're invited. So gather around the internet radio and the internet fire as we slam shut the Grimoire on. Hey, did you see this one?
The night is dark, and the air is still. The moon casts an eerie glow over the internet, where a group of curious individuals have gathered to discuss their shared fascination for the macabre. They hold in their hands a book with a foreboding presence, bound in flesh and inked in blood, a tome of horror that only opens its pages when a sacrifice is made. Within its ancient passages lie the secrets of the most infamous murderers and monsters of all time. Join us. But beware, for once this book is open, there's no telling what horrors may be unleashed. This is the Grimoire of Familiar Killers.
I don't get it. They should be here by now.
What are you gonna do?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hey, Did You See This One? Episode 157. It's season 3, episode 8, I think. And, it's Halloween, and we're doing our thing. We're having a Christmas special. Nope, not Christmas. Halloween special. My name is Jason R. Phillips, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host Steven, off-duty Dark Knight.
That's me. Is that how Robert Pattinson does the voice? I don't know.
That's me. I'm Batman. And our special guest this week is, and welcome back to the show, is Alex Gow.
Thank you for having me.
Alex Gow. And let's give him a little
Sick
bit of
machete,
a
bro.
Thanks. It's real. I should stop playing with it.
Oh my god.
I got you.
Oh.
Oh, you had a plan. There we go. We are, of course, talking about Halloween, the Curse of Michael Myers. I'm dressed like La Parka from professional wrestling. For now, it's real hot in this. It's real hot in these rhinos.
Yeah.
So we're actually we're having a special episode tonight for Halloween. We're talking about this movie. We're finishing up the Grimoire of Familiar Killers. Oh, there's somebody at the door. Isn't that crazy? There's somebody at the door. Let's see who's at the door.
Previously. X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show.
What? Oh, yeah. Just read from the paper. I get it. Okay. This is Skelverine from X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Happy Halloween, Hittisto. Hittisto. What in the unholy knuckle hell is Hittisto? Well, schnicked or treat.
Snicked your treat. I like how earlier I was like, you can, promote your podcast when you come on. And he put his whole fucking intro to his podcast on it.
I don't even remember doing the voice for that, but apparently I'm the voice.
It sure sounded like you, yeah.
Previously.
That's great. That's great. We will be having some people coming to our door trick or treating throughout the night. As I said, this is the show where it's, hey, did you see this one? And we're a podcast where we do a roundtable review, reaction, discussion about the film in 3 hours or less. And tonight will probably be a little bit longer than normal. Because we're gonna have all these people interrupting us, but that's okay.
And because I'm here,
and because Alex is here, and we're all jokers and we're all comedians. And I'm gonna take this mask off.
This is the most
soon.
notes I've taken for a movie in probably like a year. I don't know how it happened.
Do you realize the missed opportunity you have to be Jason R. Voorhees?
I did that for Jason.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then.
And I looked all over. I have a Jason mask somewhere, and I was going to be
these
Jason.
Gotham streets. I gotta take his coat off.
I tried to buy a Michael Myers jumpsuit that was 20 times as big as I needed, but I only found one that was 10 times as big as I needed.
Yeah, you look like a small child who's about to go out.
Trick or treating as Michael Myers. Yeah,
as a grease monkey.
As a grease monkey. That's why
we have this other co-host. I have actually the baby from the movie. This is Steven.
Steven.
From the movie. So he's here.
I forgot the baby's name is my name.
Yeah.
I did.
I was sitting there by myself watching the movie, and I said, "That's my name" out loud. He's like, "Hello, Steven. You look."
Well, before we get into the bulk of the episode here, we have a new segment on the show where our guest actually gives a brief synopsis of the film. I should probably have told you this, Alex, beforehand. I'm sorry, but just in a few sentences, give us a brief synopsis. But before that,
It's time for a synopsis, bitch.
thanks, Freddie.
No problem, bitch.
So Alex, why don't you give us a quick synopsis of the film Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers?
All right. Well, it's a Halloween movie, and Michael Myers is gone for good, obviously. Or is he? Which seems to be kind of the running theme. And then we got a hot up-and-coming newcomer making his film debut by the name of Paul Rudd. That was very exciting when I saw introducing Paul Rudd.
Yeah, they rarely throw the introducing in there, but it's nice when you see
it.
And especially when they're now like an MCU hero and a comedic
for sure. Yeah, it's like introducing Paul Rudd and introducing that girl I've never heard of. I'm like, oh, one of them went a bit farther than the other. What's your costume now, Jason? Are you the guy from Stranger Things, the conspiracy guy?
No, I'm Johnny Darko.
Johnny Darko. And then and then there's a baby. And I guess the baby is related to him, and he wants to kill everyone related to him, no matter how old they are, even if they're babies. And then I guess he also doesn't want people living in his old house.
Yeah, he hates when people move into his old house, especially
he hates when people go near his old house.
Yeah.
Well, they do explain in the movie at one point. It's like, you couldn't sell the house, could you? Because of all the murders.
Yeah.
It's like, not only is the guy who murdered everybody still alive, but he keeps coming back and murdering anybody.
Yeah. It's like trying to sell cheese out of a mousetrap.
They tried to lock him up at the end of the last movie, but then a crazy guy with a machine gun showed up and freed him. We don't know.
Yeah, and then it's just basically the hilarious hijinks there within.
Right. Okay. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Oh gosh, man! I don't know
Somebody's
if I
at
have
the
enough candy
door.
for this.
Oh, there's so much. There's going to need so much candy.
Happy Halloween!
Hey, it's Cass and Tatiana. They came by dressed as let's see that again. It's so short.
Happy Halloween!
They're the
Dressed
Scooby
as,
Gang.
Thelma
the
and
Scooby
Louise.
Gang. Thelma and Louise. That's great. Thank you guys. You can find Cass has a playlist because she's been on the show so many times. Tatiana, I believe, is one episode away from getting her own playlist because she's now been on the show this many times. And tonight, Alex, I believe you get added to your very own playlist.
I already
It's
have
Halloween.
one.
Do you? Did I make you one already? Marijuana.
It's because he did two episodes in the
Yeah, I did the back to
Cryptid
back.
month. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
Guess I better do that.
we're booked solid through January right now, so things are looking up for the old "Hey, did you see this" gang. That said, it is now time for a brief history.
Oh my god. There's so many.
A brief history.
I didn't like rehearse the shit on the side, so now you got to scroll so far, so you got to do something fast.
I used
Anyway.
to have it in a specific order, and now it's just all over the fucking place. I'm deleting the Undertaker bell because it turns out he's a horrible racist.
He's a piece of shit, but this is what we replaced it with. This is Batista.
Give me what I want. Give me what I want.
Jeez, okay.
Which I think is way funnier anyway. That's right. So as usual, the guest always goes first here on Hey, did you see this one? So Alex, why don't you give us your sort of brief history of this film, your brief history of the Halloween series, and anything else you'd like to enlighten us about the Grimoire of Familiar Killers lore.
Well, my history with this film is very brief. I'd never seen it. And even with the series is relatively brief. I have watched the original Halloween. I'm pretty sure I saw Halloween H2O like at the time, but outside of that, not really much on I was never a big scary movie guy. And then, I mean, having watched this, I think I could have been totally fine. It's not actually scary, really, but yeah. And like, what I will say is my knowledge of like Halloween as a franchise, it was so limited for so long that I would often forget the difference between Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers. Like, I could identify them if you showed me them. I'd be like, that's Jason, that's Michael Myers. But it's like, I'm like, which one kills all the fornicators at the camp? And you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Jason usually sticks to the lake territory, but
yeah.
Sometimes he'll go to New York City and fuck people up.
They both hate fornicators, though.
I think Michael Myers just like he just hates anybody he's related to, and if you're in his way, he kills you. Whereas
Basically,
if you break the rules, you're dead.
Yeah.
Debate we have about Jason as well, whether he'll kill kids or not.
Watching this movie today, I don't think I've seen this one. This is a rarity for me because I'm like, I've seen all the Chuckies, I've seen all the Jasons, I've seen all the Freddys a whole bunch of times, but this is the series that I don't typically rewatch, and it's because it always, this one may be withstanding, it always feels a little bit mean-spirited, and it's lacking levity, and it's lacking sort of that like what's the term, Freudenschaden, where you're like, I'm just laughing at the misfortune of these people being weird. There we go. And like, I don't ever really have that in these movies. It always feels a little bit mean-spirited and a little bit too dry and too serious, where it's like, this is supposed to be a very scary movie. And like you said, Alex, it's not, but it's still lacking humor. It's lacking any kind of sense of fun and whimsy. And this one injecting in mysticism and magic, I'm okay with it. And I do really like the third Halloween movie, but it has nothing to do with Michael Myers and the Strode family lineage. It's completely out of universe. It takes place in a world where the Halloween movie is just a movie, and it's fun. It's about magical Halloween masks turning children's heads into bugs and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I like this. But yeah, I had thought I had seen it because I'm so familiar with a lot of the iconography of like Paul Rudd being in a movie and the fact that he talks about it. I've probably seen that one. I just don't remember it. And then watching it today, I'm like, definitely have not seen this one. So I think my first time watching it is today. I'm sure I've seen bits and pieces of it here and there, but yeah. And you know what? Didn't hate it. Did not hate it as much as Rotten Tomatoes would have me believe, you know? End.
Yeah. End. I end it.
Yeah.
I'm with you. My total history with with the series is essentially I watch them as they come up in the Grimoire eras, and this being the sixth one, this is the sixth time I have been introduced to Michael Myers doing his thing, and this one I definitely don't remember existing either, because I feel like I should know that Paul Rudd was in this, because I definitely know about Clueless from this era. And fun fact, this and Clueless came out in the same year, and he plays very different characters.
I would argue he plays two completely different characters in this movie.
In this movie, yeah. So
sometimes he's doing a Loomis impression. Sometimes he's like kind of cool. Sometimes he seems like he's a murderer. You're like, what's going?
He does a Loomis voice at the very beginning. We'll get to all of his choices. But as far as my brief history with this film, it's basically I watched it. The Grimoire movies I try to watch all on the same day, specifically because I want to get into the vibe more. And I know what you mean, Steve. Like I get that you should watch the movie at least all in one sitting or at least all in one day, but this one specifically, I couldn't take my eyes off of. And then my palate cleanser after this is I watched the first half of the Little Shop of Horrors, and that stuck in my brain. So I really want to go finish that. But
whenever you talk about this, I always think of that episode of The Office where Michael Scott watches movies in chunks, and he just doesn't like fully process the story and like what you're supposed to get out of the movie until after he like days later when he finally finishes it.
Like what? Yeah, he was watching the Devil Wears Prada, and he's walking around like
he's being a bitch. Yeah. It's like I didn't realize that she's the villain.
Oh my god, he's watching $1 Billion Baby. Is he gonna kill me?
Is he gonna try to kill me? Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's my brief history. I watched it today. Halloween movies are funny. They're not funny. They're fun.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess we should go through the director talk, even though I don't have a lot to say.
All right. Quiet on set. Are we rolling? Okay, let's shoot this piece of shit.
Sound. Speed. Action!
Immediately, I notice that he produced 35 episodes of The Wire. Joe Chappelle, not to be confused with Dave Chappelle. Nope.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was going to make that misconception. He's
He also
directed
produced Fringe.
Well, he directed Fringe as well. I think you just didn't. You have producer and director open. I think if you just close producer, you can look at his director credits only.
I hadn't gotten that far, if I'm being honest.
Okay. Well, yeah, he
directed Phantoms. Okay, I see.
He directed a lot of fun TV stuff that I like. You know, as much as CSI Miami is kind of like panned as being just a really cheesy crime show, I like it. I liked it when I was a stoned 22-year-old being like, hell yeah, Horatio. Let's put on some Horatio and watch him solve mysteries. But me and Alex have a bond over Fringe. I think we've talked a lot about Fringe. There was a long time where we would just quote Lance Reddick to each other while playing Destiny.
Walk with me, Dunham.
Yeah, walk with me, Dunham.
R.I.P., dude.
Yeah, he was the best.
All right, rest in peace, Lance Reddick. I have a question.
You're a real one, Lance.
Oh, is that the statue from In Destiny? Did you 3D print that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
The layers of nerd.
I keep it near me at all times.
Yeah. I would gladly paint that for you, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get ready to be glad then at some point in the future.
A video game reference that I didn't initiate for once on this show. That's incredible.
There you go. I mean, I did pull out the statue.
Yeah.
But
Zavala. He was the leader of the Guardians. He was the best. Anyway, this guy directed a lot of TV shows, not a lot of movies. This was only the second thing I think he ever directed. Yeah.
Thieves Quartet.
And you know what? Considering it's the 6th movie in a series of scary movies, and this is his second crack at directing, I don't think he did a bad job. And seeing his resume after this, I think that he seems like a pretty competent director.
I think that overall what he did really well with this film is he captured what it felt like in 1995 while also capturing what a small town like Haddonfield, that's what Haddonfield would look like in 1995. Everybody's kind of grunged out. Kara's dressed like she's on Friends. You know what I mean? Like it's got that look to it. It's
probably helped that it was 1995 when they made it.
Yeah,
well, that's what I know, but
yeah,
it feels like a time capsule of the era.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for these movies to really capture different elements of their era, not just feel out of time.
I think like Clueless, for example, is not a time capsule of what it was like to be in 1995. It's a time capsule of what like people of a very specific niche culture were in 1995.
Or like a decade of fashion is captured in Clueless,
Yeah. And like weird fashion that isn't even really fashion at the time. They're just like, this is what fashion's going to be in 3 years. Let's put it on these girls. Yeah, I don't know. He directed a lot of Fringe, and I'm kind of interested to know what episodes he made, but I don't have a question that deep into the rabbit hole right now.
I just have a question about I've noticed that he directed Skulls 2, and I remember that being on a rack next to Cruel Intentions 2 and American Psycho 2 or something like that. And I'm wondering who was the person, like this was a phenomenon in the 90s and early 2000s of straight to DVD sequels. And now that I've watched all of Hellraiser and these all feel like they've just shoehorned Cenobites in, are these other movies like a similar situation where this guy made this movie and they were like, well, it's like kids in a fraternity who are doing like clandestine things. Let's just slap it to Skulls 2. Or do we know if it's directly related to the first? Because
I haven't seen Skulls 1 or 2, so I can't tell you that. I can't give you that information. Right. But I can tell you that it is probably more than likely that what you said is probably the case, where they had a script for something and they just said like, this is enough like Skulls, let's just make it a Skulls.
It's a secret society at a college.
But like American Psycho 2 is very deliberately American Psycho 2. It was based on something that was attached to American Psycho.
Okay.
And they more obviously made it satirical, whereas the first one is very much a satire and it just went over a lot of dumb bro heads. Like, I'm so much like Patrick Bateman. I do 1,000 push-ups every morning too.
This is what I'm hearing
about killing every woman that comes within 10 feet of me. Like,
this is what I'm hearing about the difference between Joker 1 and Folie à Deux is that the second one is getting more praise by certain people because it goes against all the bullshit and like incelness of the first one, like people attach themselves.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of
I haven't seen Folie à Deux yet, but I am excited to watch it.
I've seen a couple people talking about it that have made me more interested than I was before, because I did not like the first one. I thought it was bad, but and I know a lot of people love it, so I'm if you like it, you like it. But the type of people who love it, who like get mad that it didn't win Oscars and stuff,
who love Scarface,
not the same kind of people that like
and that Fight Club. Yeah.
Well, Fight Club's a good movie if you're watching it for the right reason.
Correctly, yeah.
Yeah.
You have if you
realize that it's an allegory for wanting to fuck men. It's not about wrestling your bros in the basement. Anyway,
media literacy in any capacity. Yeah.
So I've seen people talking about the new Joker, and it's making me be like, oh, if it's a commentary on how shitty Hollywood is and like it's going against the grain of like MCU stuff, like maybe I'll be more interested in seeing it. And I do like Lady Gaga and everything that I've seen her in as an actor. I'm like, okay, well, she's good. So
I love Lady Gaga.
That was the main draw for me in the first place, but I was kind of like, I just can't do it. Anyway, maybe I'll check it out, but I'll wait till I can stream it or something.
What I liked about that movie, I didn't see it, is that they never said the subtitle in any of the promotional stuff.
Right. So all these people struggling to say it.
It's just like Joker 2.
Joker.
All you do.
All you do.
You're actually the first, Jason. When you said it there, that was the first time I'd ever heard anyone say it out loud.
I love that, like, on
French.
TikTok, people pronouncing it incorrectly, and then everybody in the comments trying to correct them, like people who speak French or whatever. And
Is
they're
that
like, I don't
engagement
know.
bait though?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's probably
Probably.
just troll territory.
Joker Folly Decks.
Folly dicks.
Dukes, I basically just don't interact with anything on Facebook because it's all that.
It's
Just
bots and old people.
exactly, and AI. Are we ready to move on to the body? And if so, if we're ready to move on to the body, I think oh, somebody's at the door. Somebody's trick or treating. Who's
Happy Halloween from Live Long and Podcast. Be safe.
Dave just showed up to spook us out.
yeah? He freaked me out. I'm scared now.
Well, that was interesting. But now that Dave's given us the live long and prosper hand gesture, let's go into the body of the episode.
Ho, 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 ho! Everybody back up, because here comes the body of the episode.
It's been a while
That's
since I
right.
played that one.
I know you're always like diggy 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 body. I like the long body. Nope, that sounds fucked.
I like the long body.
Give me that long body.
Pippi
me
Long
the
Body
long-
over here.
Pippi Long.
Give me the long pig.
I have a character in D&D called Pippi Longbody. They just call him Pippi, but he's got a long body.
There you go.
It's got a weird torso.
Yeah.
That's right. Humans and germs. I don't know. Freaks. The fans of our show are called the Freaks, the Bagusi gang. If you are, if you've been around a while, gather around, freaks. It's time for the body of the episode, which is where we basically break down the movie piece by piece. I'll tell you a part that's happening, then we'll discuss it, and we'll get through this in a timely manner. Spoilers, we won't. I'm going to open up the movie with letting you all know that we open in a sanitarium with Jamie's escape. Jamie Lloyd, now older, is held by a mysterious cult in a sanitarium. She escapes, pursued by Michael Myers. In a frantic chase, she hides her newborn baby. So a lot of stuff happens within that. And I do.
Well,
have a fun
they're in
fact.
some sort of weird underground stone dungeon that's also attached to some
Like
kind
a
of
hospital.
mechanical plant or a hospital. like,
Yeah.
a power plant that's also attached to like some sort of steel mill.
I
that's
wanted to
attached
say
a train track.
off the bat, not only does this movie have pretty much every location we've ever seen from a Halloween movie, it has like every location we've ever seen from Nightmare on Elm Street as well. All these weird underground tunnel systems
Yeah, the
look
last
so much like
battle
Freddy's Hell. Yeah.
and the second Freddy Krueger movie, like the end of that movie looks like the beginning of this movie. Yeah, it's like they just kind of went trope crazy. They're like, what are the best scenes in all the other? Let's just throw them all in there. We'll have a weird druidic ruin, which is like referencing the third movie. It's all
The
about
third
druids and
movie.
yeah, they have a piece of Stonehenge that they use
'Cause
to magically enchant masks.
Outside of that, it's just Loomis talks about the druid stuff occasionally. Like there's one part in two of the other movies where he's like, "Oh, he's the ultimate evil," and there's a long lineage of these people that bring the ultimate evil back. But they double down and triple down on this. And does Halloween H2O? Is this where it branches after this movie and it just goes into its own?
Branched, baby. We branched a long time ago. Okay. The last three movies do not exist in the Halloween, like the requels or whatever that come out now. They take place after Halloween 2. So this is like a timeline that just fizzles and dies.
Abandoned, yeah.
It fizzles and dies, and then the main thing that they always say in these movies is evil never dies.
Evil never dies.
It just
Except for
just
this trilogy of druid bullshit.
I wrote the nurses are at least in the correct attire. I appreciate that they're bringing her into like a dank dungeon to give birth, but it's like they're still in scrubs and stuff.
I was also like, is part of the ritual that the baby has to be delivered by torch and candlelight? Like they can't have actual lights in here.
I do have a fun fact. Danielle Harris wanted to reprise her role as Jamie, but didn't due to pay disputes. JC Brandy takes the role, and I'm watching this going, is that the same person? Because I think there is a 6-year gap between these two movies for real, right? Like what year was Halloween?
The gap is bigger.
5.
I think it's a bigger gap.
Oh wow.
But yeah, she would have been.
Oh yeah, that's 1989. It's been 6 years.
Yeah, but I mean, she was what, like 11 or something, or 12 in the last one, so she would have been, an adult. She probably would have been able to play it and not look like too childish or whatever, right?
Well, that's the math I was trying to do. I was like, if is Jamie now 18, so at least if Michael, she's at least.
I'm pretty sure that
of
rape
age.
is illegal no matter what.
True. Okay.
It's less rapey if the person's an adult. Also,
Yeah.
I think I'm going to get into that later,
Flip that.
but I'm pretty sure they didn't. Michael Myers did not do that because he would not be able to do it without killing somebody. They would
Yeah,
put
and
Michael
plus he'd
Myers-
just run the risk of creating more family, and he wants to kill his whole family.
Exactly. Can't do that.
The self-sustaining situation. Okay?
Yeah.
But I mean, at least there are doctors and nurses in this cult. They've got all the things they need. But the nurse, or I guess she's a doctor, I'm not sure. I don't really know. They don't specify, but she tries to get Jamie out. So it seems that there are people who are involved in this cult hospital that are not necessarily there of their own will, or at the very least having a change of heart during these like ceremonial acts.
Do you know what
I mean,
I was?
you talk about sacrificing a baby all day long, and on paper it's appealing, right?
Exactly.
Once you're in the dungeon,
Once you're doing
Throughout this whole movie, I was consistently reminded of Resident Evil. This movie specifically had a lot of Resident Evil isms, especially where a hospital turns into a druidic dungeon suddenly.
yeah.
There's a part at the end where Paul Rudd's just in a hallway and the guy's like, "You can take off your druid robes now." And I'm like,
yeah.
that's so fucking like, it's so fucking Resident Evil coded to me.
Yeah, like they have to wear them. There's something to it's either because there's a weird sort of implication that they're not a long line of these people, like it's like they're sort of like a newer faction,
Like a new,
that have discovered.
they're just like
this.
businessmen too.
They're like
it feels
Scientology.
They're doctors, they're fucking
Yeah.
therapists and shit that are like working in
Yeah.
an insane asylum, and it's like they've like, wait, we found this druidic magic. All right, so according to these books, we have to wear these robes with red embroidery, and the symbols need to be stitched in goat flesh or whatever. All right, so I guess we'll make 12 of those. What sizes? Should we just make a bunch of different sizes and we can just figure it out later? Or and you're like, okay, yeah. I like it though, because it adds that sort of like funniness to it that I feel the movies are missing. Like if this was like Cabin in the Woods or something, that those doctors would be having some sort of like Joss Whedon-esque conversation after or before, being like, "Oh, my robe is really tight in the crotch."
Yeah.
These things are too hot. Do we have to use fire? Can we not just use regular lights? It's really,
Yeah.
really hot in there. Everything's stone. The fire's bouncing the heat.
We have a
around.
fully equipped hospital upstairs.
Yeah, we could just use that.
I made a note that just says, "Please, Michael, don't, Uncle Michael, please don't hurt me." I think that's when he's just like attacking her.
I made
And
an
then
all caps one that says introducing Paul Stephen Rudd.
Yeah, Paul Stephen Rudd, and with the simple orange credits, which is a hallmark of this series. Very simple credits always. We don't get the jack-o'-lantern until the very last scene of the movie, but
But what we do get is after she escapes, which is really good. I like the head impaling, and I love that that's right when the Michael Myers tune starts, and it's kind of like a newer, hipper version of it. From the synthesizers are gone; they've got guitars now,
Jun, 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 jun.
and it's
Why
like
were there spikes in that hallway?
it's
Yeah.
you got to hang up stuff, or you have to impale your notes. That's where they've impaled their notes about druidic magic. Like, okay, we'll
I
just-
messaged Alex earlier this afternoon. Alex, you said you saw like the first one and then this one. You got
Yeah.
a bit of a lapsed, and they do a really good job at just synopsizing the whole story up till
Schadenfreude.
now. Schadenfreude, very quickly. One of the
Robin.
Drew was just like, Michael Myers was a kid, got real stabby with his family, went to prison for a while, went to an insane asylum, got out, did the thing for a couple of years, did disappeared for a while. He's back, baby.
Well, yeah, that happens once we're introduced to the real world, where we learn that everybody listens to the same jack off on the radio. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
God, why is everybody listening to this piece of
Now
shit?
that's 1995.
Even
We'll get to-
Dr. Loomis.
We'll get to that in a second. There's some
I
really
wanna-
good stuff that he says, but just this druid just drops knowledge.
And so she gets her head stabbed. The Michael Myers music starts. It's revealed that they're also in a hospital that's attached to a druidic dungeon, that's attached to a power coupling hallway, that's attached to a steel mill, that's attached to a rail yard. Potentially all in operation in regular hours, because there's a man there in a raincoat just drinking, being like, I just need to get out of my truck, take a week in the rain or whatever.
Also, just before we move on,
That's when they said the name of the movie in the movie.
Is Michael Myers in this movie? I don't remember that.
yeah. No. At 2 minutes and 56, they do say Halloween. They say the word Halloween a bunch. They never say the curse of Michael Myers, but it is worth noting that Halloween is said a lot of times. It is kind of one of those movies where,
It takes place on Halloween. They're obviously gonna fucking say Halloween.
yes. Look, it's a segment.
Yeah. But we also get I just wrote baby penis. I'm like, what? Oh god.
We didn't have to say it, but I was like,
and then underneath that I wrote, this baby is definitely a Skywalker, because it looks like it's about 5 months old on arrival. The thing is humongous. That is not a newborn baby.
So I'm watching Agatha all along, and there's a scene where she gives birth, and the baby that comes out is clearly 4 years old. Just use a fake baby and flash away
4
from
years. That's crazy.
It looked like it was 1 year old.
Hey!
Well, I mean, so does this baby. It's huge. This baby is.
Hey, you guys want to fuck around and fucking go to the strip club or what?
I know that.
I can't
Paul
believe
Rudd
they
is not
used an inaccurate sized baby for Halloween 6.
Yeah. It's true. They should have found a newborn baby. There are desperate people out there who take anything you'll
Well,
give
there's
them.
laws. There's laws about how young a baby has to be or old.
This baby's too old. This
baby's too young.
Yeah.
You can't just hold up a fetus, okay?
Yeah.
I'm sure that there are movies that have captured actual birth and used the footage in the movie.
I know exactly one movie, and it's that movie where Seth Rogen knocks up Katherine Heigl and they show a crowning
Knocked Up?
baby. Yeah. Did I say knocked up? Oh my
did, yeah.
god.
That's where they said the name of the
disgusting
movie.
stream.
That's when they said the name of the movie in the movie.
So
And that's our episode for this week.
Yeah.
I do want to comment that the mask, I'm like, oh, thank God. It looks so much better than the last movie. The last movie, I think the whole episode, we just complained about how shitty the Michael Myers mask looked.
I saw a little bit of a video, I think on TikTok, where somebody
I
who
sent this to you because I was like, Jason, this is the reason why. Remember we talked about how shitty it looked?
Yeah, you give a little explanation then.
Oh no, I wasn't trying to steal your thunder.
No, I know you weren't. You'll explain it better because I'm a doofus.
Oh, okay. So yeah, they delivered the wrong mask. So they delivered a box of Michael Myers masks, but they were the Shatner masks, but they were pink with blonde hair, so they were more accurate to the Trek. But they had already manufactured actual Jason mask or Michael Myers masks at this point. So there's some scenes in the movie where they didn't go back and do reshoots. They just used what they had. And it was there's a shot where it's a pink Michael Myers mask with blonde hair, and you can see it and they show it and you're like, oh my God, I never really noticed that. I thought it was just weird lighting, but it's no, the mask was just wholly incorrect. But yeah, the consistency of the mask in the fourth movie or the fifth movie is just all over the place.
And wasn't there a whole thing with the consistency, the consistency of the eye holes, where he cut the eye holes a certain way, and then you got to redo it, and he's like, I can't redo it. We have one mask.
Yeah, and we can't glue it to this guy's face because it'll be painful for the actor, and there's a ton of stuff. Yeah, but I think this one they're we can't let that happen again. Just make 100 fucking masks.
Just manufacture an actual fucking mask. This isn't the first one. John Carpenter isn't on set micromanaging everything. We didn't go to a literal.
Yeah, I think the first one they only had two. They had two masks.
Yeah,
they just had to be very.
They spray painted a Star Trek mask, a James T. Kirk mask, right? So
they cut the eyes bigger. They spray painted the face and the hair, and they got rid of the sideburns, and they used hairspray to make the hair crazier. But yeah,
I like that part where he takes the sideburns off and he's like, you can now see that it's the Jason mask. And I never realized before how fucking weird, because he's got like that spiky look with nothing here, and that's like part of the unsettling nature of the mask. And
the good part is like John Carpenter was given two options because they had such a low budget for that movie that they're like, this is all I could find in the store within our budget. And he gave him like a clown mask and then the William Shatner mask. And he's like, I think we could really do something with this William Shatner mask. He's like, fuck this clown mask. The
clown mask
is where it's at. Yeah.
Probably passe in the 70s. I like that. I think it's Baby Driver, where it's like, go get Mike Myers masks and they all show up with
like Austin Powers.
Austin Powers. Was that Baby Driver?
Yeah.
I think that's a good reference. But I think that actually happened in real life too, or maybe it was just in the movie.
I think remember. What happened was something like where they wrote the joke and then they asked Mike Myers, like the actual Mike Myers, and he was like, "That's hilarious. Please do that.
Please do that."
Yeah,
okay,
if you don't do that, it's a missed opportunity because that is hilarious. Anyway, I still think it's the best theme song of all of our movies. As much as I like all of them sort of like equally, beyond this is the one that kind of stands head and shoulders above the rest. It's the most iconic. It's the scariest, and it's also the coolest at the same time. Like when you go to like a club on Halloween, which I haven't done in like a decade, and someone plays a Halloween theme with sort of like a trap beat or something, it gets me pretty,
with 808 drums.
It gets me pretty excited.
I agree with you on that. And if you think about it, there's no other iconic music the same way. There's like the Cha 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 Mama from Jason, and there's Chucky's laugh, but you don't really think about the music or anything. And then Freddy is like, synthy kind of music and 1-2 phrase coming for you, and also he kind of just like has a laugh. There's no like.
I mean, I'm like a weirdo who listens to all these soundtracks like in my spare time.
I couldn't tell you music from the other ones, but I know this one.
I could.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna.
We know you could.
I know. But
it's all very synth heavy.
I am the outlier. No, Freddy Krueger is like I mean there is synth versions of all of them in some capacity throughout the franchises because just like budgets change and they're like, it's cheaper to do synth music, so eventually it would change.
That's a good point. The last couple Freddy movies had like Alice Cooper-y kind of music, because Alice Cooper did the soundtrack to like.
Okay, I'll play this for you guys one second.
Jason had Alice Cooper also.
It's time for a synopsis, bitch.
Right.
That little chime goes on, and like it goes ding 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 ding, and it keeps going and going and going. But it lives in my nightmares with Freddy Krueger. But all of them have music that you recognize while you're watching them, but like you guys are saying, it doesn't stick in your mind in the same way that this one does, and it doesn't get played on driveways. Like when I was growing up, people would have speakers on their driveway playing like spooky Halloween.
I was literally about to I had a tape as a kid that had the Jason or the Halloween theme on it, along with spooky owl sounds and the monster bats and the monster mash. Yeah, absolutely.
And Ghostbusters.
And the Beetlejuice theme.
Yeah. See, that's an iconic horror theme, but that's like a horror comedy for basically teens. The nurse helps Jamie escape when Michael arrives, and we're getting right into it, and I love that because the brutal head pushed onto the spike part, which we talked about already, and then the second death in the movie is a man's head is twisted off, and it's not just the weird head twist that you see, it like spine protrudes, which I thought was really interesting.
And he doesn't really hold on it. He kind of just walks up and wah! Just like all in like, nice to meet you.
Yeah. Judo.
Yeah.
Well, the real
really.
real
Yeah.
Judo chop.
I do like that you described it as interesting, Jason. Like you're at work and you're like, interesting. Like as it's like bones are coming out.
I'm literally on my lunch break watching this movie. Like you don't see that.
You don't see that very often. I do like that she tried to save him, but you know that you're like, you're wasting time, lady. Get out of there. That guy's dead. You know it.
Yeah, and she steals a truck.
You don't really get a clear understanding of where she has been for the 6 years, but they do briefly explain like she disappeared. Paul Rudd at the beginning when he's doing the intro or whatever, like I guess it's sort of a synopsis of the last movie and also kind of like a cold opening explanation. It's almost like a Star Wars crawl for Halloween, except narrated by Paul Rudd. That she was kidnapped six years ago as well. So I guess she's been in captivity. And the kind of the frightening aspect of it there is that like she's giving birth. Have they tried to do this before? Probably, right? They've probably tried to impregnate her like a few times in order to get the result that they desired.
I don't want to spoil the film Immaculate for you guys, but that movie is a very similar plot to this movie. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
The Immaculate starring Sydney Sweeney. It's a movie that came out literally this year. I think back when we were doing those trailer episodes, remember we used to do, hey, did you see these trailers? And we watched trailers, but it wouldn't work right. We might be able to do that again. Anyway, I think that movie came up in those trailers, and then I finally watched it a couple weeks ago, and then I'm watching this movie going, what is it with weird cults trying to like impregnate people to bring on Jesus, a new Jesus or a new super evil?
Yeah. It's a gross, weird idea. That's why.
Yeah.
If you hear about it,
she
looks
when she looks over at the weird green Walking Dead governor tank and there's just a tiny fetus in it. Obviously, we'll get to that. It's like the end of the movie, but I'm going, oh no. Oh,
yeah. Evil fetus.
Evil fetus.
Evil never fetuses.
It'd be funny if there was a scary movie like
Evil never
Wayne's Bros. The fetus would like turn its little head and look.
Yeah.
But this movie has no levity. It's not funny.
Nope. No. There are so many good moments that you could put in, but it's not a Jason, it's not a Freddy. You can't have a goof. You can't have them goofs.
Mm-hmm. So there's kind of a split here where he makes it to the barn, secluded barn.
No, that happens.
No,
after.
she goes to the train station.
Yeah.
Okay, so before that, then what I have in my notes is we go to not Tommy, but what's the other kid's name? Danny. Danny. He's been taking a lot of Benadryl, I think, because he can see the Hat Man. If you don't know,
I think the
internet meme.
Yeah, the Hat Man. Yeah. Well, doesn't he call him the Voice Man? He's like the voice man.
Yeah. The Voice Man. Not a very creative kid.
No, yeah.
I wrote, what was that? Michael's voice? No, the Benadryl Hat Man is plaguing this kid.
I wrote, this kid is scared, but he has a Red Ranger toy, so he's not a wimp.
Well, I wanted to point that out too to you guys. I had that exact toy, and
so
a funny thing about that is my dad gave it to me because my mom was kicking him out of the house.
I had a Boba Fett and a Godzilla.
It had a little thing where I think was it the one where the head flipped out? You could flip its head to non Power Ranger.
I never liked those.
No, those were the smaller figures. This was just a big.
Yeah. Red Ranger.
I didn't like the ones where the heads flipped because I was like, this is too much. This is too much. This toy is too gimmicky for me. I don't like it. It's hindering my imagination.
Wait till
I want my Boba Fett. I'm not allowed to touch.
Yeah, Mom, take this away. Take this back to Walmart.
Wait till you hear about the Ninja Turtle that morphs into a turtle.
I had one a shredder that turned into a drill thing.
Probably from the same series.
That was back when they were trying to turn everything into a transformer.
Into a transformer. Even though
Shredder turned into his giant purple like tunneling thing with like the giant spiral at the front.
Yeah. I remember the commercials for these toys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because we're talking about I was gonna play the Green Ranger theme here, but we need a back in time for when we reference Power Rangers, because when we reference Back to the Future.
No, I like playing it when we're not referencing. Did I show you the pictures, Alex, that I drew of the Green Ranger getting out of the DeLorean and playing his I drew like a picture of it. No,
because that's lore from you, isn't it? That's
that's
from you. Oh, and a Thomas the Tank Engine. Did you guys clock the Thomas the Tank Engine? He was all the rage in '95.
I was not looking at the toys in this kid's room, but I guess you guys were.
I mean, the Red Ranger was right beside his bed.
Yeah.
I made it. Well, they were next to each other, but I made a note that this kid is exactly the same age that I would have been during this year. Like this kid is 39 years old now.
Yeah.
When I was looking at him, like this kid looks a lot like Kurt Russell, like a tiny little baby Kurt Russell. And then I was like, "Is he Wyatt Russell?" And I like looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, he's not. He's not even related to the Russells at all." But he has like the same sort of features as Kurt Russell, as like a young little squirt.
He's got a weird face like the kid from Seventh Heaven though too, the blonde kid. I was like, is that the? But that show is like on at this point.
I wasn't allowed.
Did you guys Google Devin Gardner?
I did, but
he plays Danny.
Yeah,
I googled him, and it's just a football player.
Yeah,
just plays foot like he just went into football.
No, it shows a different Devin Gardner who's a football player.
Just another.
He doesn't look the same as the kid in the movie.
Yeah.
So my next note here is Paul Rudd is a pervert. Why the fuck is he talking like that? And the guys on the phone don't believe what he's trying to tell them. Is he for or against Michael Myers?
Yeah, he seems like a stan for sure.
I think it's like he wants to find out how to get rid of Michael Myers properly and like what he needs to do it. Even though the movie doesn't really explicitly say that, he's going through all the motions. It's like he's become obsessed with him in the same way that Loomis has. And I feel like the movie, they were like, this is the new Loomis. This is going to be the new young Loomis. And we'll kill off Donald Pleasence.
My initial vibe of him was that he was almost wanted to like take up the mantle of Michael Myers.
Yeah. That's how I felt. That's how I felt about it.
Because even
I thought there was going to be a thing.
I said to my wife, I'm like, I sent her a picture that just said introducing Paul Stephen Rudd. And I'm like, I think he's the bad guy. Like, I think I thought he was going to be like,
and he does
like
have
a lackey.
He has a mean look in this movie. You know, he's kind of like mean mug.
Very un-Rudd like.
And he's kind of, but it made me be like, I kind of wish to see a Paul Rudd movie where he plays like a weird serial killer, like a weird suburban serial killer. Yeah. I don't know if he's done that before. I see a fair amount of his movies, but I don't recall him ever playing, like a man who lives next door who murders his family, and there's some kid that witnesses it or something. Like a rear.
Yeah, there's a Mark Duplass movie the Duplass brothers made called like Creep, and it's Mark Duplass who normally just plays kind of like a wisecrack, like a Chandler Bing kind of character, but in this he plays like a creepy and it's kind of a serial killer thing. It's like a mumblecore horror. I think that Paul Rudd could do that. It would have to be like an A24 movie for the Cannes Film Festival or Sundance, and he would probably win 1 million awards for it because he's a good actor. I gotta say, he plays a lot of like action figure garbage, like the MCU and Ghostbusters and stuff.
There's 1 million
comedies, but
from the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s that are like a suburban murder where it's like somebody in the neighborhood witnesses a crime committed, but it's a very vague, I think they committed the crime. Yeah, like what's that movie with?
That's all they had for evidence back then, man.
Yeah, it was just like I saw it through my telescope.
I saw it. People are confessing to like robbing a bank. It's like you just got robbed by the Paul Rudd boys, and then they leave, and it's like, sorry, if you don't catch someone doing it in the moment, that was it.
Yeah. Fuck, I had a point to make, but. Uh-oh.
Who's there?
Who is it?
Party on, Wayne.
Party on, Garth. Yeah, we're just here to say that we're so sorry that Steve and the other guy had to didn't have enough content to fill a whole episode, so they had to go to their favorite guests of the past to fill in the gaps. But luckily, Wayne and Garth are here, right, Garth?
Yeah,
excellent.
Excellent. Happy Halloween!
I love you!
That's awkward. We're both dressed as Mike Myers.
Perfect. I thought that'd be a good segue. I was waiting for Steve to lose his train of thought to have another guest come on.
I think we have 30 of those more.
Yeah,
so it happens.
It's true.
Okay, you're gonna lose your train of thought 31 times.
Oh, I remember the joke was that you said something about Seventh Heaven, and I was gonna say I wasn't allowed to watch that show as a kid because it's too religious, but I didn't get a chance to say it.
I wanted to.
I thought it
Maybe
was
you
funny.
when you're in the moment.
I wanted to bring back around. We get that just kind of a scene of just like showing things that are happening around with the radio with Bill Sims or whatever, the radio host, and he speculates that Michael Myers is some sort of super soldier, and then they allude to, would it be crazy if Michael Myers was in space? Which it was great because Jason goes to space in 5 years from now. I think Leprechaun went to space this year.
A massive dig at all the other franchises. Because
You know what? Actually, I watched this on Amazon Prime, and there was like a trivia thing, and it said that it speculated that it's because the budget for this movie got slashed pretty bad for a Hellraiser movie where Pinhead goes to space.
Well,
or something.
I mean,
he
did go to space. Yeah.
True.
And I think it was
literally they did take money from this movie to fund the other movie, the Hellraiser movie.
But I mean,
space one.
I think the space one, in my opinion, the Hellraiser space one, is pretty good. I think it's better than this movie.
I've never seen it.
Hellraiser 4 was pretty good. Oh yeah, that is the one. I didn't really clock that it was space, but
he makes a giant space cube at the end to trap him.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Lament configuration gets like put into a building, though, right? Is that one?
Well, that's also the one that takes place over time. Like there's like a million different. It's like time.
Yes. Yep. I remember now. That one I liked, but it kind of came and went. Yes, because that's the one that has a young. The dude from Severance,
Adam Scott.
Yeah.
It ends with he makes because it's like a long lineage of like architects and designers, and the final guy is like a spaceship architect, and he makes.
I've watched 7 Hellraiser movies
into a giant lament cube to trap Hellman and send him to hell, I guess, which is space.
I've watched 7 Hellraisers in the last like 3 months. I'm you now, where you can't.
You sound like Papa John.
Differentiate. Can't differentiate.
I watched all the Hellraiser movies in a 1 week span when I first watched them, and it was while I was working a night shift, so it would be like 6 a.m. when I would start watching them. And most of that whole series is a dream to me. Sorry, there's an ambulance coming.
Sounds like someone's raising hell over where you are. So speaking of Barry Sims, did anyone call the number 1-800-YOU-SUCK? I did.
No, you tried it?
One of you should do it right now.
Okay, I'll
do it on speakerphone.
I will do it on speakerphone.
Nice.
I did it last night, and I laughed, and I said, I hope nobody else does this so we could do it live, dude.
You want to see some tits? Welcome to 1-800-SUCK-ME-OFF. Or something like that.
Hey, baby. Oh, I love to party.
Called it.
And I have enough energy to keep you hard all night long. Oh, yeah. I may be young, but I have the sweetest tits you've ever had.
I had already hung up at this point.
Suck like a whore.
Oh, God.
You want a hot babe who knows how to please her man.
Sorry, what was that?
She's eating a popsicle.
I'm going to make all your fantasies come true. But remember, you must be 18 or older to experience sex with our hot and fairly legal babes.
This woman sounds like she's a 60-year-old woman, like doing a young person.
And I want you to bend me over, spread me wide, and stick it.
Oh, yeah, we don't have to keep listening to this.
Okay, yeah. I'm scared they're going to start charging me.
Yeah, that sounds like a sex phone line from the 90s.
Yeah,
it probably is. It's probably one that has been in service since then. There are weird old people that still
there's somebody watching a graph right now and sees 2 calls in the last 24 hours and thinks the glory days are coming back.
It's just like a beeper going off and someone's
I told you I shouldn't stop paying for this phone line.
Yeah. There's still interest. I got 2 calls in the last 48 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody came to the door right now. We all have boners.
Oh, hey. Happy Halloween. Oh, I got something for you. You're gonna love this. Did you see this one?
So that's Orville Cummings. He was on I believe last week, right?
He was, yeah.
And the two people before that were Mariana, Mariana, and Michael Mangiardi. Miliotis. Fucking always botch her name in my head, and I said it to her, and she's like, "That's perfect," and then I can never do it again. But thank you, Barbarella. Michael's been on a few times. Orville was on for.
It's nice to see all of our pals on Halloween night.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I
Halloween.
thought this would be a fun idea. Just getting back on track here. Loomis is now introduced. Donald Pleasence is now on death's door. Unfortunately, he passes away shortly after this movie comes out. He wants to be retired. And we also find out that Halloween has been banned in Haddonfield for some time.
It's not that he wants to be retired, as he is. Like the radio is being like, and whatever happened to that old Dr. Loomis? Is he gone or what? And he's like,
He's
"No,
dead.
I'm
Not
not gone.
dead.
I'm just retired over here." He didn't know the camera was on. They were
Yeah.
trying to get a rise out of him because he's so drunk. I don't know if he was drunk.
Calling 1-800 suck a lot.
Yeah, they're like, man, the budget for this movie is going through the roof. Pleasence is racking up those 900 number bills again.
Yeah.
And he went through an entire crate of red wine this morning. It is funny that he's also listening to this radio station. Like, in this universe, it's the only radio station that exists. Television doesn't exist. It only plays like black and white silent movies that hypnotize old women. And everybody else listens to this Howard Stern-esque piece of shit on the radio who's just making fun of everybody who calls. It's called Back Talk, which I guess is like, it's a call-in show. You call me.
1-800 you suck.
Yeah. It's just like the most.
He's a shock jock, but in the smallest town in the United States.
Well, I think it's also implied that he's like not from there. Like he
he
comes in later,
does like a
right?
remote there.
Yeah.
So are they? Where is Haddonfield supposed to be? Like in Illinois?
I think so. Yeah, something like that.
So I guess Chicago might be the like.
Yeah, he's from the city and he's trying to like boost his ratings. So he's like, we're gonna go to Haddonfield and we're gonna, I don't know,
fuck with the rubes.
Yeah, fuck with the locals, the yokels. And he talks about Michael Myers in space, but even the empty bus station, when it cuts back, is playing this fucking radio station like, over the loudspeaker. And it seems a little too, like R-rated for a bus station that might have children coming through it. But later on, we clearly see that this guy doesn't give a shit if there's kids in the crowd. He's going to do a full striptease in front of everyone and tell them and like try and cuck some guy right to his girlfriend in front of like an audience of people.
Face. Or boyfriend. Yeah.
I wrote at that part. This man needs to die or be arrested because he's a pervert. Loomis is talking to his radio because he's lost his mind, but he is more subdued. Alex, I know you said you're not familiar, but in the last movie, he is gone full batshit crazy. Like he's running around with a gun the whole time. He's like, "Come with me!" Like,
there were reports from the set too that like in movie Loomis is a crazy person, but on set he just reeked of booze the whole time when he got close to your face and he's yelling in your face.
He was sort of known as like a very alcoholic actor, and like every time you read about like Donald Pleasence decided to return to this role because he said he really enjoyed the script. And I'm like, I really don't think he read it. I think he probably was just like,
he ran out of booze or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought this an interesting thing that happens here is like people in the town are talking about how it's dumb that it's been 6 years without Halloween and Michael Myers has not been back. But during this movie, Michael Myers returns, and the year they bring Halloween back, it's going to seem like the curse exists for
Halloween.
Real.
Yeah.
Which I thought was so funny.
And I also am like, the town cancels Halloween. Okay. But it took them 5 Halloweens of killing sprees every year on Halloween. Every single year on Halloween, there's a killing spree. Maybe we should cancel Halloween. No, it won't happen this year. It was just last year. Okay, I know it was the last 2 years, but this year, there's no time. It's not going to happen 3 times. It didn't happen 3 times because the third movie is the Halloween mask one. And then the 4th time, okay, well, geez. 5 times, They canceled it finally. But do they say how long it's been since they canceled Halloween? I think it's been 6 years, right?
It's been the 6 years, yeah.
And then immediately they start talking about a Halloween party, and I'm like, wait, and like all the kids are dressed up on going out trick or treating.
And there's absolutely nobody in the movie who is opposed to Halloween in the movie.
Yeah, there's not old people being.
There's
like,
no like, yeah. There's no like crone being like, oh, you know, he's gonna come back. You kids in your costumes, he's gonna come back.
It's because they don't want to emulate the Jason movie, where that's the thing that happens in every Jason movie, and it's always one of the funniest, best scenes, because they're like, it's gonna be too cheesy. We can't do that. But it's like, you need that, man. You need the person.
You couldn't have like, anyone who's against Halloween in the town. Like a controversial overturning of a Halloween ban. It's like if in Footloose, if they just everyone started dancing and they're like, yeah, you know what, actually dancing's fine.
It's fine, yeah. There should be like
this movie had an additional like 20 minutes added to it, you know, like if it was a longer story, they could have that character, but it didn't have that. It was a pretty like straightforward final girl kind of thing where you just have the beginning set up, then like a middle part where Freddy, fucking whatever his name, comes back.
It was more like a final Rudd.
Final Rudd, and then it just goes into that like Michael Myers, like the Halloween of it all, if you will, the Home Alone of it all.
Cutting a Rudd.
I guess why have the Halloween ban if you're not going to have anyone upset about the Halloween unban?
Everybody wants it back. I feel that's what the vibe that I got.
But you don't see that. You don't really see it except for those two people, and it's confusing because they tell you, the radio guy tells you they've canceled it. And then your first interaction with Haddonfield is a bunch of people trick-or-treating.
Yeah, like peacefully and unimpeded.
Yeah, no one's nervous. I was immediately like, wait, I thought they canceled Halloween. And they don't explain that this is the first Halloween that they've had in a long time. For a long period of time.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, now I understand. But like, if my concentration had waned even slightly, I would still be confused about it. I'd be like, why? When did they ever cancel Halloween, and for how long? But I like, you're right. I wanted more of that. I think maybe less like of those moments where we already know a character is dead and there's another character wandering around calling their name for 45 seconds. Maybe spend that 45 seconds like giving us a little bit more exposition or something.
Yeah, have some old lady closing her shutters because of a kid dressed as a pumpkin,
or like a shot of a kid knocking on a door for candy, and the person just saying like, "Get out of here!"
Yeah,
I'm not letting no masked psychos in my house. And then maybe like that old lady that he stays with is the only one giving out candy, and then like later you find out that she's part of the cult, which is kind of interesting. But they can have things that you could do stuff like that. But it also is kind of like cringy to criticize a movie and rewrite it 40 years after it came out or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, Alex. It needed like the old people who have been terrorized for 5 Halloweens in a row, and have been in peace for 6. We haven't had any murders on Halloween since we canceled Halloween, so let's not bring it back. And then these people, these teenagers, I guess, are like kids who did experience Halloween, but they never went through the trauma of witnessing Michael Myers kill people. So they're like, I just remember Halloween being a fun time and like people being scared about it later. So they want to bring it back. But yeah, the adults, the old people, a retired police officer who's gone insane and he's homeless now. And he's like, you can't bring Michael Myers magic back to Haddonfield, I tell you.
So we get over to Janie, who's made it back to town. She calls the radio station to try to warn everybody.
Yeah.
And I wrote, here comes Freaky Mike. And she drives through, trying to escape from him. She drives through a pumpkin patch, which I was like, hey, that's very Halloween of her.
I love the iconography of this part. This whole sequence, I was like, visually, I love this. I love the fact that it's very Friday the 13th part 3, where they're in like the barn and farm type area. But I just love that there's pumpkins everywhere. Like
and one of the
we need to stack this shit with pumpkins. We got $100,000 worth of pumpkins. Put them all over the place.
One of the openings to one of the Halloweens also had like a barn, just shows a barn and a pumpkin on like an old fence, which I thought was cool.
Why did she ditch the truck to try to get a train? Like when she pulled up to the train station, I'm like, just keep driving.
Yeah, maybe I could have run out of gas or something, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
guess.
maybe she thought there would be people in there, and then when she got in
Yeah,
there,
that's
realized-
true. Yes. Yeah. You're right.
And then
Also,
she stayed for the phone. Like, I gotta call
Yeah.
the radio station, not the police.
I'm gonna warn the
Well, the police
town.
are listening to the radio station like everybody else.
It's
I'm sure.
true, yeah. And she probably thinks the police.
Oh, she did call the police, and they said, "Sorry, the weather's really bad, so we're not answering the phone at 911."
Oh, right. That's true. Yeah, I forgot.
And even the radio station was like, "Yeah, right. We get this prank call every year."
And you know, there's other solves to that too, right? Like she could have, when she's escaping the cultists, there could have been a police officer there who like is like, "You're coming with me," and brings her back. And, you know, and then he gets killed by Jason. But you know, whatever.
So
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say Michael seems to have teleportation now, or some form of like somebody had talked about this. I don't know if we talked about this on the show or I saw a TikTok or somebody talking about the fact that like these fast walker killer slashers can walk really fast, and you're so frazzled, and you have the rules of. No, this was from the mask of. That's true. He can drive a car.
Heavily proven in many movies that he just knows how to drive. Like, and
But
there are movies where he's like checking his blind spots and shit.
The mockumentary that we watched also, that he talks about how like you have the rules of like a horror movie if you're running from a slasher, and the slasher can just walk fast enough to always keep a steady pace. So they'll always listen. In the last movie, Jason was doing the mist thing for sure. In the last Jason movie, he's a ghost zombie.
Yeah,
but Michael Myers was exhibiting situational stuff in this where you would look directly at him and lightning would crack and he would disappear. And
yeah, I took that as she was just tripping out.
She was just tripping. Yeah. Okay.
Or he's just like.
Yeah, he's like waiting. He sees the lightning and he counts like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
As soon as the thunder goes,
But I will say that compared to like, I'm not a huge fan of the Halloween movies at large, but the tension of this sequence specifically, I thought was really well done. I felt the like, oh fuck, Michael Myers is here, and
in the barn?
In the barn sequence.
I think that out of the entire movie, yes, this is the most effective horror slasher sequence out of the entire movie. There are some other okay moments, but when it comes to building the tension and then also having a satisfying end to the character, I think this was the most effective. There's one other scene that I think maybe is a tie, but this is I think the shining one, which is unfortunate because it's the first one, right?
It's like right at the beginning.
Yeah, you should have.
I'd like to play a brand new game on this show called "What the fuck did she die on?" I thought it was just a. I thought it was just.
I liked it because I had the same.
Dun. What the fuck did she die on?
I thought it was just so first I wrote in my notes, oh, she fell backwards onto a fucking.
I have an idea already for a sting. Yeah.
She fell backwards.
A blender sound effect and someone going like, and then we're all like, what was that?
I wanted to say she fell backwards onto a pitchfork, and the joke that I wrote was like, people need to stop leaving pitchforks pointy side up. But then he turns the thing on and little blades come out and she gets fucking like blendered.
I think it was like a thresher, like one of those things
like
to harvest grain or something. It seemed like a smaller version of a thresher.
I wrote, it wasn't a pitchfork, it was some sort of wheat separator.
Okay, yeah. It's a wheat separator, you know.
The wheat, it separates the wheat from the barley.
Yeah. It pincers the wheat, and then the chainsaw bits take all the wheat parts off and store them in the wheat storer.
And that's how bread is made.
That's how bread got born. Halloween Sticks, the curse of bread born.
I still have 2 full pages of notes.
I'm not even through my first page, and I have 4.
Oh Jesus!
I'm skipping over a bunch. But then
so anyway,
she also, he puts his hands out because he wants the baby. He was like, "Give me the baby," and she's like, "You're not gonna get the baby, Michael."
Does he want to kill the baby, or
this is unclear? I feel like he wants the baby because he knows it's his baby, and maybe.
Can I get a theory corner sting?
Sure.
Based on how the ending goes, I know he does end up killing all of those doctors in that last epic murder scene. I think there's a part of him that is like almost programmed because of all of this, because they didn't think ahead enough, and maybe there was a next movie that they were planning where he was actually has something in his head from when he was created or something, where he's trying to bring this baby back to these doctors to get to realize some ultimate like reality where he becomes the protege to a new evil. I know that's a lot. You'd have to do a lot of writing to make that work.
I mean, you could make it work, but yeah, that's a stretch from what we got to what you're putting out. I'm like,
Until he killed that whole room of doctors, I was like, oh, he's trying to get the baby to bring it back to the lab.
I mean, so the way I looked at that was that they had some form of control over him for at least a little bit of time, right? They were able to. The black hat guy, you know, in the fourth movie was watching his murders and sort of monitoring him and frees him from prison at the end. And I feel like and he has the same tattoo on his arm as the symbol they paint on the baby, which, you know, he's also appearing in this kid's
Thorn.
room. He's also appearing in this kid's room. And there's an implication that he's the one that caused Michael Myers to become what he became. So I feel like that there was sort of this fraction or shred of control they had over him for a time. And that was him sort of taking his revenge. And they were also playing around with his genetics and trying to make a baby that he didn't, consent to having being made with his DNA. So he's like, fuck all of you.
And I think it's like they had a certain amount of like hubris about them, where they're just like, he's just around and they're like, yeah, it's Mike. Like, you know what I mean? The killer Mike over here.
He's like drinking a coffee through the mask, and it's like,
yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
I mean, we do get a version of that where he's shot up with all the green goo, and he gets a shot of the mask with the fucking eye holes.
That's the moment that I want to talk about later. But it is kind of a weird thing where when I went into this one and what I knew of it, I always thought it was going to be like they were using magic to control Jason the whole time, but it, I guess, turns out that they were using magic to. Did I say Jason?
Yeah,
we always say Jason.
I know you've been doing it the whole time. I haven't been correcting you because I'm like, I know what you meant.
Yeah.
But, and then so Chucky's there and Freddy's also there.
Freddy's there and Scream is there. John Scream,
Mr. Screaming
John Scream.
Yeah. Jigsaw rolls in on his tricycle. So I always thought that there was this sort of the cult was using him as a weapon or something.
I thought of this too with World Mind. Sorry.
But that's not the case, really. He's just floating around in the world murdering, and they're trying, I guess, to create a baby so that they can have this weapon. It's not really fully explained. It's like they just want to see if they can make it almost, you know, where they're not thinking about, should we make this thing? They're like, we have to make this thing. But for what purpose? I don't really fully understand.
They didn't even seem that invested in it.
Yeah, they're like, you know, we got
like
tired
whenever it wasn't happening, they're just like hanging out.
Yeah, they're like, you know, we got kind of bored with curing people's mental illnesses, so we want to see if we can create the ultimate mental illness, evil.
Yeah. Evil.
Yeah.
Well, when the radio guy mentions super soldier, my mind went crazy with the super soldier stuff, and that's when I started thinking about how this baby has to be related to that in some way. Even before they telegraph the fact that there's a weird underground Resident Evil style
I mean, if you
laboratory creating.
Were you the
babies.
caller who said that he was a CIA?
I was. That was me. Yeah. I called in to suggest that during the movie. Because we're going to move to a new part, I just want to also point out that Jamie manages to stash the baby, which we will find out in a few minutes that the baby was stashed back at the bus station, but that's where it ends up. Just so we're free of this scene.
Just so everybody who's listening, you're not sitting on the edge of your seats wondering, where's the baby?
Where's the baby? You gotta see the baby.
I feel like Michael Myers is killing people in my neighborhood tonight.
Well, it's Halloween. It is Halloween. I want to point out that in a unique situation, we are talking about a Halloween movie on Halloween.
It's true. But to your point of the military aspect of it all, it would be pretty handy for the military to be able to just like drop Jason Voorhees into like using a drone, just like drop him into enemy territory. And they're like, just give it a week and all the teenagers in that entire city will be killed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it is a brutal death, this Thresher thing when he turns it on, and he does like kind of a mean spirited thing where it seems like where he's like about to, grab her and be like, "I'm sorry, my niece, who I have absolutely no emotional investment in whatsoever," but then he just pushes her,
just
further
jams her
on.
farther. Yeah.
I like it. And then turns it
I
on.
remember thinking like she's staying alive on this thing at her own peril. Like just stop trying to stay alive.
Let it go. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're dead. There's no getting out of this one.
Better luck next time.
And then we cut to Tim Walsh on his lawn yelling at kids.
Tim Walsh, the vice presidential candidate.
Yeah, he has like a similar voice. Did you kind of
Yeah.
track that voice similarity? I was like, wow, he sounds like Tim Walsh. He seems like a big dick, though. I'll say that much.
Oh,
he
the
uses
dad.
an axe.
Yeah, seems like it. Yeah,
yeah. He uses an axe to cut down a sign instead of just pulling it out of the ground. Like the little tiny children stuck that into the dirt, man. I don't think you need to like.
So yeah, let me set the scene. It cut to it just says Haddonfield Halloween, and this franchise does this, which I do like. Now that we know that it's Halloween, kids are what's ruining this country. No respect is what he says when he cuts down that sign. In my synopsis notes, we get an introduction to the Strodes, the Strode family, relatives of Laurie.
Like, oh, this isn't Tim Waltz. This is a Trump supporter. This guy.
Guy is a Trump supporter for sure. He definitely voted for Ronald Reagan. Now live in the Myers.
McDonald.
They now live in the Myers house. Kara Strode, a young mother, lives there with her son Danny and faces tension with her overbearing father. Fun fact, the film was shot in Salt Lake City, Utah, giving Haddonfield a slightly different look from previous movies. But I actually disagree with that because they do a wide shot of that iconic street, and they somehow found a place where there's almost the same hedge from the first movie. It just looks like the hedge died a little bit. Did you clock that?
Yeah, but it's like Elm Street, Jason. There's an Elm Street in every city.
There's a Haddonfield in every city.
Yeah. There's a Haddonfield bush in every city. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, yeah, it didn't like I could tell that it was a different location, but it didn't bother me. Like I wasn't like, this is really taking me out of it. Like I was like, yeah, this is fine. It doesn't look exactly the same, but because there's a lot of areas in the first few movies that remind me a lot, Alex, I don't know if you'll agree with me, of like suburban Brampton, like like downtown Brampton.
For sure.
I'll be back in a minute.
And this one a little bit less so. It feels more like Peel Village, Brampton, where me and you grew up. It doesn't feel like the classy area of Brampton.
No.
Anybody listening, it's just like an area where sidewalkless versus having sidewalks. Lots of tall trees versus having trees that were planted maybe like a couple years before you were born, and they're just sort of starting to block out the sun. But that's one of the things that I do like about the Halloween movies is that they did feel more like freakier to me when I was younger because the setting was a little bit closer to where I grew up as a kid. The Nightmare on Elm Street movies also kind of had that factor, but the Jason movies, I would only kind of be thinking about them if I was in the middle of the woods, like, oh God, I'm near a lake.
Yeah. Fornicating.
And then Chucky is just like a new location every movie. He's like, what do you mean? I'm in the city, the deep city. Now I'm over here. Now I'm over there. Now I'm on a military base.
I'm chucking here.
I'm on a fucking military base.
Kids are ruining the country. I also wrote down, wow, dad is a real fucking asshole. And I wrote that down before he slapped her. I was like, oh, he's a really big asshole. And then this is when I started to kind of really track the mom character because I'm like, oh
yeah, this part made me feel really uncomfortable. The whole she's clearly Kara's clearly just studying for college, and she's like, what are they teaching you at school?
How to be terrified of everything.
It's psychology, mom. It's like a literal science.
She says, what are they teaching you at school? How to be freaked out all the time? Like she's like actually like, what are you learning about? Why are you so scared? But then after he's being a dick to her, I started to be like, wow, this like mom character is really playing the role of like a freaked out housewife who does not know how to speak to her overbearing husband, and it only gets better and better. Where I'm like, this is maybe the best performance in the movie because I'm really feeling this sinking sense of like dread for her every time she's on screen, and she's like trying to muster any kind of courage whatsoever, and she seems, you know, like a person in like a sunken version of her own life, you know, where like she didn't envision having this horrible life with her children. She's like, she's having a rough time, and I feel it, and it's very
like,
believable.
Isn't Danny so cute, looking like his uncle and all this? Like very like
yeah.
This is good. World Mind is playing Dead by Daylight as Michael Myers, as tribute to us, probably. I would say.
Yeah. I think he's doing it because of us.
Because of us. Ding ding ding. Ding ding ding.
The dad's a total asshole, and I wrote the dad is going to get murdered brutally.
Yeah, I said what I wrote is, okay, this man must die brutally.
yeah.
Similar, but then we cut to a knife at his belly, and you think,
well, I was gonna say,
the way they shoot this is very clever, where you think it's his daughter doing it, but then it cuts down and it's her son.
It's Danny,
holding this fish knife up against this guy's guts, and he's clearly like, oh fuck, I didn't know this was gonna happen.
I didn't mean bastard.
Yeah, she tripped into my hand. I didn't hit your mom. He is he is an amazing gaslighter, so he probably would try and say like,
yeah,
this is her fault.
I wrote, it's Freaky Michael. He's got that dead look in his eyes. The kid when the kid does dead look, like the kid's pretty good at acting. He wasn't terrible, but when he's so good at just like sitting still and being a creepy kid. I thought he played that amazing.
I think
maybe they didn't feed him while they were filming or something.
I put he's got those Myers genes, like he's having the Myers nightmares. He's where he's dancing through the streets of London naked and like and like things are covering up his crotch and stuff, and he's murdering people, and then I guess it just takes over, but he's also having the Dark Man dreams or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Which you guys,
the Hat Man, Steve, the Benadryl Hat Man,
the Talk Man. Didn't he call him the Talking Man?
the Talking Man.
He called him the Voice Man.
Oh, the Voice Man.
My nickname in high school. It's the Voice Man.
I took nighttime cold meds last night before I went to bed, and the Talking Man definitely came and talked to me all night. He wouldn't stop.
My name's Ben Adrill.
That's pretty good, actually. That's good. It started as a humoring laugh, just we got to keep the show moving. But then it turned into a real laugh,
Yeah, there you go.
He looks like Kurt Russell, which he does.
Yeah.
Not related to Kurt Russell, but Paul Rudd is very hot in this movie. I wrote
Paul Rudd is a very buff. Did you notice how like big his shoulders are? What happened? He slims right down for the rest of his.
He got too funny.
They're also like, he was probably at that point in his career where he's like, I have to get jacked because they're only hiring jacked people.
Yeah.
And then they hired him for this, and then after he got Clueless, and then he's like, maybe I don't need to be jacked. Maybe
I can just be a funny dork.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious about what Paul Rudd was in like next, because Clueless. I feel like next after these two movies, because you know what else he's known for besides these two movies at this era, and only in retrospect, he was in a Nintendo commercial.
Yeah, he was he was in the
right around this same time. So I'm curious what his next role was, because in my head, I don't really clock Paul Rudd again until like Anchorman.
Friends. He was in Friends.
Oh yeah, he was on Friends for a bunch, right?
He was in Friends for like the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And he was in 200 Cigarettes, which I remember was like a kind of part of my childhood. Okay.
Well, you grew up in Nova Scotia, so we know that 200 Cigarettes was part of your childhood.
Yeah.
Thank you. What a great
Alex,
burn.
I was also formulating. I'm like, how do I make that? And you did it quick.
Yeah, you got there. And Wet Hot American Summer. There we go. That's it. 200 Cigarettes is my childhood because I used to pick cigarette butts off the ground and smoke them with my horrible friends.
The Halifax hand-me-down.
Get out. That is the most accurate.
I made that sound like it's a real pre-existing thing and not an off-the-cuff remark.
In-
But I
in-
want to bring up that it's not, so that I get full credit.
In Halifax, if you find a cigarette butt on the ground, it's called a Halifax hand-me-down. And that was coined by Alex Gow, October 31st, 2024.
My brain kind of like sort of panned off to something else for a minute there, and I was like, "What are they laughing at?" And then I didn't realize it was the same thing. I thought that was a real thing.
Yeah, Mac and Me, of course.
Yeah, Mac and Me. But is he in Mac and Me?
No, he
shows
just
the
played
Mac and Me.
it a lot. He advertises for it like he's in it
for years and years and years on Conan. Yeah.
Wait, I thought they banned Halloween. Paul Rudd is very hot in this movie. Has he ever played a murderer in a movie? This makes me think he could do a good job of it. Yeah, he could.
He reminds me of Toombs from X-Men.
Yeah. X-Files.
Or X-Files.
X-Files.
And that's not something I thought of during the movie. That's something I just thought of right now when I picture him at the window.
Also, there's definitely a
the
character
smoking man?
called Toombs in X-Men, right? Like, there's probably some mutant named Toombs.
Like Victor Toombs.
He's like a
Isn't that
mummy or something. He
Spider-Man?
comes out of a sarcophagus. He's all
My
wrapped
power
up.
is that I can stay alive forever as long as I'm wrapped and all my organs are in jars.
No, Tombs is like Stone Face or whatever from no, it's Vulture.
Tombstone. There's a character
Tombstone. No, it's the Vulture. Is Victor Tombs or whatever.
All right, well, I'm saying
How does
there's a
that
mutant-
sound?
I'm saying there's a mutant called Tombs.
I think I tried to just go, but my voice cracked. I couldn't do it again, I'll tell you that.
My dad.
Why can't I just tell me?
Without hurting the skin?
Adrian Toombs is the
Adrian
Vulture.
Toombs is from X-Files.
Adrian Toombs is the Vulture.
So what's the Toombs from X-Files then? He's just the guy who can stretch and turn into
Yeah,
Gilbert, right?
and he apparently he's like
a pervert.
Really not a good guy though.
What was the
he
guy
moved-
from
he moved-
X-Files who made paper mache with his saliva and lived underneath the
That's
mall
Toombs.
underneath?
That's Toombs.
That's the
Same
guy.
guy.
Okay.
Yeah, and he.
Gillian
he-
Anderson said he was a real creep.
Well, I remember seeing a thing years ago, probably like 10 years ago, where he he moved a girl to Las Vegas specifically to marry her because the marriage age. of
Oh
consent
yeah,
or
that's
whatever
what it was. Yeah,
He was like, you could marry at 16 there, so he'd like
Listen.
move there with her to marry.
he's
his
like
wife.
Grimoire Wormtongue if Wormtongue was just plopped into like modern society.
in real life. Yeah.
There's this thing with all those streamers and influencers who get famous and then they get found with like messaging kids.
Yeah.
They always are like, well, 16, age of consent. And if you have to bring that up, get fucking thrown into a volcano, buddy, because that's not the play.
No,
it's not the play.
Also, like
Don't move your child bride.
The saliva
to a
paper mache
county.
thing.
She
like,
could have
that
been
was-
17 and 364 days old.
Yeah, you don't know. So yeah, after they got married, they moved into his saliva and paper mache mansion.
Okay.
And David
Paul Rudd
Duchovny to this
investigates
day
a
is
bus
like,
station.
Yeah,
And
he follows.
finds-
He follows.
The
a
point is,
literal-
we all want to have sex with Paul Rudd when he was young and jacked.
Yeah, and now and me.
Yeah.
He's still hot. Yeah, I mean, but
He's a
in
good-looking
this, he's
man.
very,
He doesn't
like,
look
when he-
much different.
When he does the turn to the radio, he has like a very like stone face, like stoic look on his face, but it's also very intense. Like you can tell he's thinking about something, and I'm like, oh my god, this is hot. This guy's hot. I understand why he became a movie star because of this role. Because like,
Can I ask you a quick question though? When he's in the bus station and he finds all the blood everywhere, why he smells it? Why he?
Oh, I made
goes
a
like
note
this
here.
And go.
I made a note for anyone
It's
who is
placenta.
under the age of 30. I'll let you know that it was not at all unusual to see a puddle of human blood near a payphone.
it's true. Yeah, he follows a literal trail of blood to the bathroom. And at first I was like, did
Been
no one
there.
else notice this? And it's like, no, probably they did, and they just don't give a
It's a
fuck.
train station in 1995. People would notice if it wasn't there.
Yeah,
I'm from Halifax.
They cut it out of the
and
movie, but there was also 4 other trails of blood that he followed. down there that
Yeah.
did lead
They had to
having
clean up
babies.
several
kept-
trails of blood to keep the narrative straight in the movie.
Yeah, it just so happened that that particular trail of blood led to a baby. He was like, aha, a clue.
Yeah, the alivest baby at that train station.
Yeah, the other babies were dead already. Yeah.
We do also get a quick cut to like Loomis on the trail. They clearly Donald Pleasence was at the end of his life during filming of this movie because they used him in such a small capacity to the point where they just cut to him for like a line and then cut back to Paul Rudd doing his whatever Paul Rudd was up to.
Yeah.
And
it is kind of sad.
It's his mark. He's come home, and that's the whole fucking scene. And we see the Thorn rune. Like, did Michael Myers burn it into a hay bale stack? Like, what the fuck
it was
is
like
this
smoking
version
still.
of
I don't
Michael
know.
Myers?
In my mind, it seemed kind of like he was just like, and then it was there.
Yeah,
that's like
I don't imagine him with like a flat iron out there, just like
ding 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 ding.
But then there's other parts of the movie where there's no other way. I feel like there's no other way he could have done it because so many times he seems so like mortally locomotive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like a singular minded thing where this is where you got to go. Once you get there, you do this, and then you move on to the next thing. But because of that, it's like, does he have to do that? And he's never really done this before. Like, he doesn't make his mark in the other movies, right? Am I wrong about this, Jason?
No, he never fucking put his mark. This mark thing like might have been mentioned by Loomis when he talks about the like druid stuff in like the third one, but we never see the Thorn rune.
Listen, the third one is about masks that turn children's heads into bugs.
One. Whatever one has the scene with Loomis in the car and he's like talking about it for like 10 minutes.
One is where they really set up a lot of weird shit for this one that they sort of pay off, but not really.
Sort of pay off.
Yeah. But
it's like they took a throwaway scene where he mentions like a druid rune and is like, maybe there's something there. Maybe we can make a whole movie about that.
Yeah,
before Pleasence dies.
Before he really, maybe it was his idea. He was like, I think we need to make it more about
maybe
the
he just wouldn't
rune.
stop talking about the druid runes, so they just had to make the movie around that.
Like, cut Donnie, listen.
Donnie, get my
the
guy.
line is, it's Halloween. The runes!
He's like, I've got 4 months to live, please. This is my baby. It's like, okay, fuck. Whatever, we'll just retcon all of this out later.
Shot him 6 times.
Shot him 6 times. 6 times.
Also, his burn in this movie almost completely gone. Like, he has a crazy burn in the last one where it's like a very obvious makeup job. You know that they were like, maybe we don't want to put this man through.
He doesn't have too much time left. Let's not spend it in a makeup chair.
Yeah, he's like, I have to sleep 14 hours a night. What do you mean I have to spend 8 of it in the makeup chair to put a burn?
I fully forgot about the fact that he's full Two-Face for like the last 2 movies.
He just wakes up in the morning in a makeup chair.
They just get him comfy the night before, like, all right, Mr. Pleasence, good night. And they work on it all night, like sculpting it on his face. 6
this
times.
is
with a Pinot drip.
The music that's playing in the background when they show the kids is just like generic grunge, and that's how I knew. That's when I was really getting into like the 1995. Well, yeah, but also like I was getting into the vibe. There's a song that plays over the end credits that I was sure was Stone Temple Pilots, but then it's not. It's some other band, and I'm like, oh, does this band just is like a sound-alike band because it kind of sounded like Man in the Box, but not quite.
Yeah, they just threw in a lot of random guitar riffs and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyone else hot in their boiler suit or what? Is it just me?
Yeah, I'm boiling up. Also, did you notice that I think the kid's name is like Bart or Brad or Beef or something? He does he does.
Hey, Beef, get over here. Little Beef. It suits you.
Yeah.
They show that nightmare murder drawing that Danny drew of all the like everybody in his family stabbed, and he says like, oh, "That's cool." He does like a butthead impression.
That's what.
I said
in my notes. I said, "Is he doing a Beavis and or butthead impression?"
I just wrote literal butthead impression.
Yes, it was definitely a butthead impression.
Oh, before that note, I have nice bit of set dressing there with the leaves on the cars as they pull into the school.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciated that.
Great
they had
stuff.
a bag of leaves that they just kind of sprinkled around. That was the other great thing about the very first one we talked about. This is like everything is green as fuck, but they just had like leaves sprinkled in certain shots. And like one of the great things is that you knew that they had to collect those afterwards and be like, we need to save these for
we
later.
need those.
Yeah, because they filmed it like the beginning of summer. They're like, oh god. But
Yeah.
actually tonight I went out just to grab some stuff before the show, and like I went out and it's kind of like it's a nice warm night outside, but it's very windy and all the trees are like shedding their leaves, and it felt like a Goosebumps intro as soon as I opened the door. Like I got hit by like a torrent of leaves. I was like, oh,
It's the warmest Halloween since 1919, at least in our geographical area.
And it's the coldest Halloween we'll ever experience again.
I remember having to wear a winter jacket while dressed as Dracula. As a
I
kid.
remember
Like,
arguing with my mom that I didn't need to wear my winter jacket.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think we all have that very clearly burned into our minds, being like, but I'm Frankenstein. Frankenstein.
Frankenstein doesn't wear a coat.
I have a vivid memory of like a Halloween that got rained out, but it was so cold and we still went trick-or-treating. Like you know what I mean? Like it doesn't even rain at this time of year. It's just still summer
Listen,
until
you can't cancel,
November.
You cannot cancel Halloween on kids.
Yeah.
They're like, no. I'm
But do you
going
hear
out.
what the kids do these days? They do trunk or treat since COVID, where you just go to like somebody in the neighborhood's trunk and just pull a bunch of candy.
Yeah,
out of
they have
trunk
the
and that's
parking
full of
lot
shit.
with all the cars.
I don't know about that.
I think they also do trick or treating. I think trunk or treat is more for like
But what
places
you see
where
with
there's
the
less walking.
Well, what you see with trick or treating nowadays is like you'll see somebody sitting on their front lawn and they're like, we live in a suburban neighborhood. We got no trick or treaters because they stick to like a couple houses. Like it's locked down from the COVID standpoint, but it's also locked down from the like everybody's afraid of everybody standpoint.
I think the kids just want to watch their TikToks. and
Well,
eat laughing gas balloons instead of candy.
They're called whippets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, laughing gas balloon. It's either whippets or you're the Joker.
So then we go. We get another sort of
agree with
classically
that.
over the top scene of Paul Rudd getting to the hospital with a baby that isn't his, and he's like, "My baby has had an accident," and
with his weird accent.
There's a very not understanding triage nurse.
Yeah,
he's
she's
like,
"What was the accident?" It's like it's a.
I need a doctor.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm calling. You're not getting a doctor. I'm calling security.
I call the fucking cops. Yeah.
We also find out here that Tommy Doyle was being babysat the night of the first.
I had a picture of like Paul Rudd getting thrown out of the hospital like The Simpsons, like, and he hits the curb.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I had a baby. And they throw the baby.
And their baby too.
Laurie was babysitting Tommy Doyle the night of the original. So Laurie, who is of course the main character, the original, played by
what's the thing that this whole movie series loves to do, which is like every character that's introduced is being reintroduced to some other character from some other movie that you fucking forgot about. You're like, what?
It's like introducing young Boba Fett.
Oh yeah, exactly.
In
Boba
Attack of the Clones.
What do you want, Dad? And you're like, wait, this is Boba Fett. He's a clone of this guy. Okay, I see.
And the Strode family.
The Scream movies also do this. I watched the latest Scream recently, and I realized my Scream lore knowledge is very dusty. Like they kept like name dropping, and I'm like, who? Like, remember in Scream 3 when this happened? I'm like, no, I don't.
Next 1 year from now, Scream 1. We're getting into it. We're gonna find out over the course of the next 4 years.
I actually have been watching them recently because I do like them. They're good, man. They're good movies. Like all of them too. It's not like they kind of fall off. Like they all have like sort of an equal level of like they're pretty good. Like
now that I do horror, I'll probably just go through all of them before we get to them. Then it'll be rewatches. But the Strode family is living in the Mike Myers house, and Michael Myers is actually stalking throughout this segment as well, I believe.
Yeah, this is when the mom, right?
Yeah.
No, you think it's Michael Myers, but it's Loomis. Loomis is
Oh
just doing
yeah,
a straight up
Loomis
B&E.
pops
He's
in.
like, I don't use doorbells or knock. I just walk in.
Do you have any wine?
Yeah, also, I did stop off in the kitchen. I went through the cabinets. I didn't see any wine in there. Is there any in the
No,
store?
Michael,
Also, you're
this
out of
is-
rubbing alcohol.
He's like,
This is the scene where Loomis pops up and it's a jump scare, but Michael Myers is shown like in the background during this segment. But you're right, this is the segment with the mom like doing laundry, and I'm like, don't kill this sweet woman.
Yeah, they set up the laundry machine, which they pay off later, which is I like because like
I have a note here that says, where is it? Oh, you know your domestic situation is rocky when getting killed to death with an axe by Michael Myers is a slight upgrade.
Yeah. Jesus. And Tommy we cut back to Tommy at the hospital. He just randomly, or wherever he is at this point, he just names the kid Steven. And he's like, your name is Steven. How'd you feel about that, Steven?
My reaction was, that's my name. Wow.
I wrote, our very own co-host Steve was raised by Paul Rudd.
Yeah,
it's true.
Paul Rudd's my dad.
Well, your dad is Michael Myers, and your surrogate dad is
Paul Rudd.
Paul Stephen Rudd.
Paul Stephen.
Wait,
he liked the name Stephen because this is his middle name, so he gave it to me as my first name. Yeah. My middle name is Michael, named after my dad.
Ding 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 ding. No, Michael Mongiardi. Loomis did not die in the last one. Loomis
does die off screen in this one though. At the very end, it's kind of
IRL.
It's kind of gross. I don't really like it. I don't want to talk about it too much, but like, then it's the very end of the movie, so maybe we'll talk about it when we get there. But
hey, your name is Michael too. Well, the thing is like they set up this like sequel. It felt like because he's like, I'm going to stay here. Anyway, we'll talk about it when we get to it.
But then he died, and then you hear him screaming at the end, going, "Ah!" Like as it like zooms in on Michael Myers' mask, and you're like, oh god, he's just killing him off screen. This is how we find out Donald Pleasence's character died in the movie. Is that they take a scream from another movie that he did and throw it into this one.
I didn't put that together.
Like right after
I did not either.
In loving memory of Donald Pleasence, you're like, oh my god,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You know what I would have done instead is there's a line from another one where he goes, "Hello, Michael." I would have just put that, like, you know, like he finds Michael, the mask is off, you know he's up, and then you do that, and then you put the in loving memory. Like at least it's like, you know, there's a confrontation, but you have to put him screaming to death. so disrespectful.
Hello, Michael. We're fucking now. Ooh, you're fucking me, Michael. And they fuck and they have sex with each other.
I didn't
Michael
mean
my
that.
ass.
I know you didn't mean that. That was just as a apropos of nothing. I just decided to say
yeah, he was just expanding on it.
Give me a kiss, Michael.
I was yes-ending.
In the day of AI voice cloning, they would have just done a whole scene. They would have digitally.
They called 1-800-YOU-SUCK.
Yeah, like, ooh, yes, my red lips are begging for your huge lips.
I might have to put a like NC-17 rating on this episode because of that phone call that we had.
You let it go a long time.
Well, no one told me to stop, and I don't know when to stop.
Spread me open. Ugh. Loomis tells Mrs. Strode about the home and Myers. The Hat Man is back. Tommy and the kid meet Michael Myers in the house. Tries to warn the dad, murder time. He doesn't believe it. John is the brother of Michael's dad. Those were just stream of consciousness notes, but that's sort of where we're at in the story.
Okay, well,
what was that? John is the brother of Michael's dad. What does that mean?
We find out that John is
the asshole dad who owns the house.
Yeah,
is related to the Myers family. He couldn't sell.
And we find out later in the movie. Yeah, what Steve just said.
Oh, I thought his brother was like a real estate agent or something.
No, he couldn't sell the house because
it makes sense
or whatever. Yeah.
So we also get a scene earlier where the mom like picks up an axe and looks at it like, oh, and then puts it in a box. And then she comes down the stairs at this point and sees that the axe is gone while she's still just fucking around the house. And I wrote, she's getting chopped in half.
Come on, Jason, if you're in your house, you would be spooked from the phone call and the conversation with Loomis. You call your wife. Imagine your wife being like, "You fucking idiot. You don't know anything, you stupid sack of shit." And you're like, "Oh, fuck, sorry." And you hang up on your phone.
The Hat Man calls.
And then you go back to doing laundry. And then and then you realize the axe you left in the hallway is gone. You're like, "Where did my axe go?" Oh, shit.
But did you notice that the Michael Myers music like hits really hard? And Steve, you said this every time we've done a Halloween movie. That's how you know that he's there. And she walks out to like the backyard, the laundry.
It's not
and
even just that you know that he's there; it's that you know that something's going to happen. Like it's sometimes he's there and you don't hear it. You'll just get that sort of like meow.
Yeah, you know he's gonna activate.
Yeah, when it's like ding ding ding, you're like, okay, yeah, he's in kill mode now. You really got to try to not die or you're dead. And she tries, but she fails. She cracks her glasses in the most comically broken glasses way.
Yeah. The double star.
Like, exactly. It's a cartoon.
Crack? Give me a
It's
break.
like, you know, when like you're in a cartoon when like an opera singer sings too loud and your glasses crack. Like that's what happened to her glasses. Yeah.
Do you need
This
glasses
is one of
to run the
those-
fuck away from getting murdered?
No. I thought it was.
This is one of those situations though where like clearly he shows up and he kills her with an axe because
guys, I'm getting axle grease everywhere.
Where is she? Where's the trigger?
Yeah.
And
I could have done the whole forehead and been Furiosa.
And the spray goes on to the bed sheet, right? And I wrote a note here that's like they just never showed these brutal kills back then. And what was I so afraid of? Because it's very like a lot of times in these movies, you'll see this thing where the slasher goes like this with a weapon and then does this, and then there's a spray of blood, and then you see aftermath, which can be pretty freaky. But you never see what I thought was happening when I was at these movies. You never see the like, because what I learned and what I realized by growing up and being an adult is like the technology and the special effects like aren't really there to show that stuff.
No, Jason, we've had this conversation like a million times, which is like we weren't scared of the gore. We were scared of
the anticipation,
what you're going to see. You're scared of what you might see, and that's.
But I also learned through that, like especially watching the Hellraiser movies where they do try to show the stuff, it always looks hokey because there's no like, even with CGI, you can't ever make it look good. You have to have the build up.
See, this is where I disagree.
And then a
I think
payoff.
that like the very first Hellraiser movie, there's a sequence where
you're right. Actually,
Frank is coming back to life, and it looks like this horrifying stop frame animation, like melting wax candle in reverse with like jizz and guts and like it's absolutely vile to look at. Like if you're trying to eat while
I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm saying by and large, I think that my fears were all within my head. I think Hellraiser is the one movie that I took the most psyching myself up to actually finally watch, and then I was freaked out by it. But every subsequent movie after doesn't even move the needle for me.
But it's like they can't even top that, right? Like
even this movie, I was like I don't watch a lot of scary stuff, and I was just like settling in to watch it last night, and I'm like, all right, let's do it, right? And then I'm like, and then like 3/4 of the way through the movie, I'm like, oh, I forgot I was supposed to be scared.
Exactly. That is my exact point.
Well, I think that all of these, the Grimoire in general, right? Like you don't get scared by them. We could put some movies into the lost pages and stuff, but until we get to a point where we're going to be putting stuff in that's like actually disturbing, these movies are just fun. They're meant to be fun. Yeah. And I would say though that the Halloween movies, they are the most disturbing of the bunch, and that's a good like Geiger counter. Alex is like, if you can watch these movies, you can watch everything else in the Grimoire. Like they might gross you out a little bit.
I think I'm ready to start killing.
I think I can do it. You're that nurse.
Uh-oh.
Sorry to interrupt, guys, but somebody's at the door.
Edward Twizzler hands.
Oh, that was Aaron Hurdle. He was on the Krull episode of a couple seasons ago, and he brought us candy. So thank you for that.
Edward Twizzler hands. Oh god.
Oh, we got another one right away. Wow, the kids are lining up. See, they heard us talking.
It's like we forgot to keep doing them.
No, it's not at all. We were having a great discussion. We should probably get the door though.
Hello and happy Halloween. Sorry I couldn't be on the podcast today, but hope you guys have a great show. Hope the audience loves it. And my Home Alone of it all for this one would have to be when Paul Rudd is creepily watching from the window. That's when you know it's gonna get for real. Have a very happy Halloween 6. Happy Halloween. Be safe. Have fun. And love everyone as much as you can. Bye-bye.
It's good advice.
Thanks, Tim. Tim was supposed to be on this episode tonight. But
I
he's
like that
having
he
a
was
rough-
dressed as Mario, but like the Mario when he gets the raccoon leaf or whatever.
Yeah,
That's
Tanuki
good.
Mario.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, we totally glossed over too that Paul Rudd is watching Kara from his house into her house and she sees him doing it when she's in her underwear, and he's like, and she just closes he's like looks right at her, and she looks at him, and he's
We're not
still
even
looking.
at that yet, though. Like we're still not even at that part.
Oh,
We're
and we
still
didn't even
there.
get to that yet.
No,
Jesus Christ.
we're just at him gaslighting his wife on the phone, and then she does a Texas chainsaw run through the laundry, and
Right.
Michael.
Okay.
She knows it's Michael though.
Just a 5-minute scene of the daughter wandering around. I guess this is an attempt at building tension, but the tension of the Joni part at the start was much better. Tommy is with the baby in Danny's room like a creep. Miss B watching Dracula. No, that stuff already happened at the beginning when we meet Tommy, because he doesn't have the baby at that point.
What?
The stuff with him watching Kara through the
Right.
That's
Yeah,
at the
sorry.
very beginning.
I thought you meant when they go back to her house and it's the old lady watching them, and you're like, oh, he's taking advantage. Like this woman is clearly not mentally competent, but it's all a ruse. Which I'm like, oh, I
all a
appreciate
ruse.
that. Yeah.
She was in it all along.
Turns out she's a creepy weirdo who's like, I love the lore of this town. I love the fact that evil will rise again.
I was there that night. She's another
a real
character that's
thorn
like, I was
head.
there that night.
I did make a note somewhere in my notes that like this lady has a good cartoony old scary lady voice. You know, like she sounds like the Simpsons. You know, like the Simpsons have like a witch or something. Like she sounded like a Simpsons witch, which I appreciated.
Or like that character in that one movie where she's like, "Yo, baby's evil," and then
I thought she
she's on
sounded
screen.
kind of like a stage actor that they put in a movie.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you know, like the Maison Derriere. Your son broke a very valuable gargoyle, and
that episode's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a great episode.
I did want to talk about the broken glasses for a second, because I do have one of these. I was thinking, like, because they got comically broken like that, like there must have been more to that sequence, right? And like I figured that it might be a thing where they were gonna do like a maze where she's like, I can't see, where she like her glasses get knocked off, and she's wandering through there trying to get through, and Jason's like ding 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 ding, and like almost like just watching her where you're kind of watching from the eyes of the predator or something. And then she trips and she finds her glasses and they're broken, and they might do like a POV where it's like a fly eye effect of Michael in front of her, and then he kills her. Because like that's what it kind of seemed like they would do, right? But she just falls, her glasses fall off, they're completely shattered. She puts them back on immediately.
Shattered on the razor sharp glass grass.
The grass and dirt were so crazy that it was a very chill October 31st. They shattered.
Well, I could tell from the leaves
and the green grass.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reason I think it's a theory is like I think about like how they would have edited that from what was happening before. They would have to ramp down the tension and have a moment of like slow movement, and then they would have to have like this epic kill moment. And I can see how they would be like, we need to keep the tension to the point that she gets axed and she just dies. But I don't know if that's true, but it seems like that's what I would want to, you know, make each death creative and have it be a little bit more than just she's dead now. He found her and killed her in the backyard. Anyway, I don't know if you guys agree or disagree, but
No, I would agree with that.
It seems like a wasted opportunity, especially if you're going to break those glasses. You know, somebody went through the trouble of breaking those glasses when it didn't affect her at all. Like, just make them not broken then. What the fuck?
I think just like symbology wise, like broken glasses indicate, you know, fear, you know, I would say
vulnerability.
Yeah. I think that was the word.
It didn't make her not able to see. If you're going to do that, she has to be like, I can't see now. But she just dies immediately when she puts them back on.
I want to know what happened to her body because Michael loves he loves not an effigy, but he loves displaying his work sometimes, and she disappears completely.
No, you see her body later.
When
Do
do
you?
body?
Oh, is she the one that falls?
She's the one that
down?
falls out, and she's like,
Oh,
okay.
It was
She
like
has
a
her broken
callback.
glasses on. She's like,
right.
"Eh."
Which is like a callback to the first movie.
And she
'cause
does look
Michael
sort
does
of
that
rotted
same.
for some reason, which is like, how long ago did she do? She's that rotted
Yeah.
already? Like, what? Why is she so rotted?
Also, I love that we do get another callback to an old Michael Myers where Danny sees Michael out the window and he's like trying to warn them, and Kara's like, "Shut up!"
Yeah,
but he's
not
doing
now,
that
Danny.
weird,
Yeah.
he's doing that weird thing where Michael Myers I fucking love this about Michael Myers. This is one of his trademarks. He stands off to the side of something, just I don't know why that's so unsettling, but whoever developed that, no other villain just does the stand there. But
It's
they never
always funny when he
stand in the
stands like
middle.
with only half his face is out of it, or it's like he's
Yeah.
just looking at you with one eye, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, what a weirdo. Maybe he's nearsighted. Maybe he needs those glasses that shattered. But yeah, he I agree, and you never frame him in the middle, and when you do it, it feels weird. Like, so the scene that we just talked about when she gets killed, he's center frame holding an axe, like looking down on her, and it feels weird.
It's almost like if he is the entire subject of the shot, then you're toast.
You're done. Yeah, you're not getting out of that.
Especially when he's like the full screen. He's usually in full kill mode.
Usually, if there's a full shot where he is the center of attention, it's either meant to like you're saying, Alex. It's really meant to make you freaked out. Like, oh shit, this is not good.
Yeah.
If he's in the middle, it's not good. Yeah. There's a great shot. I use it in the intro where it's like the Grimoire titles come up and he's like on the burning porch and he's like, and the camera just zooming in slowly on him. It's like, yeah, he's gonna kill every single firefighter that shows up. And he does. Yeah.
We get a good explanation of the Thorn rune. I think that's Loomis, because everybody's like in this room at this point, right?
No, it's Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd.
Yeah,
Paul Rudd. Okay,
he's
more druidy stuff.
He's on the computer, like blah, 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 blah. It's 1995. Right. I have a computer.
Oh yeah, he has he's using a mouse, and I was like, did mice exist yet? But yeah, Windows 95 existed, and Windows 3.1, its precursor would have.
I wrote, does she not wonder whose baby this is? He just has a baby, and she does not really bring up. Like, he eventually tells her, but she's not like, hey, you didn't have a baby. What the hell's going on? Why do you have a baby?
When he's introduced, he has the baby. He's with her son, and he's got the baby, and they're in his room, and then he's like, do you know whose bedroom this was? And
is she like, just to
why
presume,
are you hanging with my kid?
His baby?
And then the kid's like, he's my friend. He loves dinosaurs. And it's like, get out of here.
I guess all she knows about him is that he might be horny.
Yeah, he's sitting the other way on the bed.
Not. He's like the
what a weird thing to walk into when there's already like a threat, apparent threat happening.
Actually, I'm wrong. He smells her hair at one point when she gets too close, and
goes
in his face, and he's like,
he's always smelling things.
And then he gives her the description, the whole thing, and then he like has this like druid amulet, and he goes like that. And then I wrote Paul Rudd hides his druid cross so people don't know he's into druid shit, even though he just went on about some druid shit.
At nauseum too, like where like he knew everything about it.
Yeah,
it's like sometimes it appears in the stars.
Yeah. It's like someone like casually brings up something you're super into, and you just tell them about it for like 40 minutes.
I'm talking about Star Wars, and then like they look at my baby Yoda pin on my backpack, and I like rip it off. I'm like, nothing.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Right. They do keep doing that thing where they just cut to fucking Loomis for like a second to tell Loomis about Jamie's baby, where it is, and then the old lady tells the story, Miss Blankenship, about the boogeyman to Danny, which is like, she thinks the boy has the voice that told Michael to kill, and she was babysitting Michael the night he killed the family, which is a huge revelation. And this is when the dad comes home fucked up. He He drives drunk home. You know he's drunk because he's slurring his words, but also because his tie is undone and his half his shirt.
Well, he started drinking at work too.
Yeah, as you do in 1995.
He's very
because
irritable. He probably
still.
drinks a lot, and like in the mornings when people are putting Michael Myers signs on his lawn, he's like, "God damn it, these kids are ruining this country."
Which is such a fucking weird thing to say to right in front of all of your kids.
Yeah.
I said, okay, the dad is home wasted after drunk driving, ready to get murdered as brutally as possible.
Oh, I wrote Paul.
Drunk driving was like public transportation back in '95, though.
That's true. Yeah. Seatbelts
my parents
optional.
had
Drinking.
DUIs.
If you
The
have
Halifax Uber, they called it.
That's what they called it.
Yeah, you're too drunk to drive. Call your less drunk friend to come pick you up.
Oh, I guess, who could that be? Who could that be?
Hey, I'm a pirate. Happy Halloween. Hey, did you see that one? That's the name of your show.
Hey, I'm a pirate.
Yeah.
Speaking of Halifax, that's my friend of the
Halifax
show,
Uber
Stu
driver.
Haver. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the Halifax Uber driver right there. That was a perfect segue to that because he's sober. He's just sick. He's just having a bad day.
That's what he
and
sounds like every day.
I asked him if he could come trick or treat here tonight, and he was like, "What does HIDSIO stand for?" Kind of like what Skellhorn was talking about at the beginning. And I'm like, I gave you enough context clues.
I mean,
Anyway.
I have to agree with Skeltsehorn. We don't have the greatest abbreviation. It doesn't roll off the tongue.
No, the problem is that when we first made this show, we wanted all of the titles of everything to be as long as and dumb as possible, and it kind of has just shot us in the foot. But that's kind of the show, as long as possible, buddy.
Yeah.
Druids are the street urchin version of warlocks. Jesus Christ. Or 425-6666 or 429-6666. That's the actual Halifax Uber right there. That's the casino taxi phone number.
Your Uber driver shows up and they go up on this curb and knock over all the garbage cans. You're like, oh, okay.
I've
It's like
witnessed
the
that.
van driver. It's like all the people in Home Alone when they hit the statue, except it's
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
it's just every single person arriving anywhere in Halifax.
Yeah.
And the taxi driver is just yelling for you to get in. Get in, get in. Like, oh, fuck.
So the dad moves to the basement. This is a pretty tense sequence too.
I wrote Paul Rudd plays RuneScape on his computer. Do we
I
I
think
wrote RuneScape is an early alphabet made by Druids.
Yeah. So okay, that's funny. I'm glad I didn't interrupt it.
For
I was
kids
being
under 30,
I don't
RuneScape.
think... Well, no, kids play RuneScape still to this day.
RuneScape was created
kids
by
do,
Thorn,
or-
and it was
No,
it
it's
caused
people,
demon sicknesses inside of one cursed child. Michael Myers is a demon. Damn it, magic. They've introduced magic. Placenta fluid. Gross. Wait, did we do the placenta fluid thing already?
No, we're not there yet.
Okay.
We're at head in the washer. No,
No,
just a blanket.
almost.
That's
right.
the dad's first time ever seeing the washing machine, I bet.
Yep.
Yeah. He's like, what the hell is this thing? I vaguely remember paying for this.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
what it does. Yeah.
I like that his voice is you're kind of doing the Seth MacFarlane Lois's dad voice for that.
Right, yeah.
Which
Wait
he
a
would
minute,
be
the power's off. How is the power off and the washing machine is working? I don't
Exactly.
understand this.
His murder was brutal, though. The lights coming from the basement while he's getting electrocuted, and then so he gets his head punched into the circuit breaker. He's getting electrocuted. I don't know. Do we have an electrocution sound that's incredibly funny?
Well, yeah, we do.
He goes like full
let me
Marv.
just plug this in right here and
But he doesn't just fall down like it sounds like happens at the end of that sound effect. He explodes.
Oh
This
yeah,
is
his head fucking scanners.
Yeah.
This is 2 movies in a row on this show where a person explodes in hilarious. Like, this is the funniest thing in this movie.
The thing
I
is,
gotta
like in Freddy, the head explosion, it makes sense within the rules of Freddy. In this, I don't think that you can blow up like that. I don't think that works like that. But it looked good. And I wrote, thank God this gaslighting, wife-beating prick got blown up by electricity.
That's literally like a fucking Mortal Kombat fatality.
Yeah, fatality.
Right?
Raiden,
Where it's just like
holding
they're electrocuting him, and you're like, okay, it's not enough yet. It's like, okay, make him explode.
If they ever introduce Michael Myers to the Mortal Kombat universe, which they've done to most of the other,
I think they have.
They're for sure.
I think Michael Myers is in like.
I think
Mortal
he's one of
Kombat
the only ones
11.
that isn't in it. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, go to the Google machine while you do that.
I know Xenomorph, I know Freddy, I know Jason, I know they're all in there.
I want to let everybody know.
But what I'm
that
saying
there
is,
is
fatality should be he pins you up against the wall, and then Raiden shows up out of the side eye and shocks him until his head blows up.
I want to let you guys know that there is a director's cut or a producer's cut of this film.
Oh, thank God.
No, but it's the other way, it seems like, where they tone down all the murders. So Jamie's murder at the beginning is toned way down. And according to my fun fact, John's murder is toned down in the producer's cut. So
that's a producer's cut? Oh, that's why.
The producer's cut. It sounds like
Jason. It's for TV.
Yeah, you're right. It's also a situation where I really want to go back and watch the Megan R-rated cut, because I feel like I still feel to this day like
I've told
out
you
on a bunch of
before,
cool
it's
stuff.
the same movie. There's just a little bit more blood at times.
Yeah.
Every time you thought, oh, that should have been more gory, it is. Like
where he pulls the sword out of
slightly.
the guy and there's no blood on it. Yeah.
Just slightly more bloody.
So
He's
not in it.
I told you. I know.
I'm acknowledging you, but I guess Freddy Krueger was in 9, and then Jason was in 10.
Yep.
And then
they got RoboCop. They got Xenomorph. They have Predator.
Terminator. They got everybody.
They have Michael
Leatherface.
Was Leatherface in it too? I don't think I ever played that one.
I don't know.
Like 9, probably.
I mean, Michael Myers isn't a fighter type, but I mean, I guess neither is Voorhees. But the fact that Jason versus Freddy came out at some point really kind of upped the ante for both of them in terms of fighter prowess. It's like, wait a minute, Freddy is kung fu fighting Jason Voorhees, and he's just
literally
taking it.
Freddy like kung fu fights in a couple of them now.
Yeah.
I'd like to point out something stupid. Haddonfield is like, okay, Halloween banned 6 years. We're gonna bring it back this year, and we're gonna bring back festivals, a Halloween festival.
We're not just bringing back Halloween. We're bringing back everything we didn't even do on Halloween before. We're gonna make it a party.
We're gonna taunt the idea of Michael Myers.
Yeah, make up for lost Halloween.
We're burning an effigy of Michael Myers in the middle of the festival. Like, fuck Michael Myers.
Everyone's breaking their glasses on the ground.
Yeah. There's like
the idea
a drum
of
circle and like a synth player being like ding 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 ding.
Like a pirate theme of it. This does sort of, this is where we do get the bit that's like the people are questioning.
I just pictured an accordion player like a
like
a really
this is the point where people are kind of questioning the like, should we be doing this? Monster and Bride of Frankenstein was a good callback. Tim is Frankenstein, and I have a little bit of a theory corner.
All right, we passed over placenta fluid. I need to talk about it.
Did we?
Yes. It happened before the old lady had her cartoonish moment where she's like, Halloween back in my day, Michael Myers would show up and stab you to death.
All right.
There's a part where the two doctors, one of the doctors is important, guys. Very important. Less important than Loomis.
Dr. Wynn.
Dr. Wynn, yeah, medicine woman. And they have another doctor there, and he's like, it's not blood, it's placenta fluid. And this is the thing where like when Paul Rudd like fingers the sink or whatever and like smells it, he's smelling it because I guess he knows what blood smells like, and he realizes that's not blood, and that's the fluid they find later is placenta fluid. And I'm like, blood doesn't really have a scent, but it can if there's enough of it, and like it smells sort of like metallic-y or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what placenta smells like at all. So maybe Paul Rudd was like, "This isn't blood." I'm kind of defending Paul Rudd's like scent tactics earlier that you guys were talking about. But I do think that having a vial of placenta, like just a labeled like placenta, like on it, is a weird thing and like a weird conversation. And I guess the whole idea is just to like let these other characters know
that she had a baby.
But it's like we already know that, right? Like they don't. This scene is not needed. Like we could.
Do they need placenta fluid to tell that someone just gave birth?
Yeah, like,
well,
couldn't the doctor be like, "Yeah, her vagina is a train wreck.
Yeah.
She just had a baby.
Her whole vagina
It's
is
literally
falling out, like she gave birth or something."
Yeah,
it's literally like what Steve's saying though, where it was just like a little like to let the people in the movie know.
But it's like they first off,
but it's not.
Loomis
It's
already
wasted
knows.
motion.
The other doctor
I
already knows. Everybody, they already know. Like the other characters
Yeah.
already know. We don't need it. Why is it there? It's wasted time. You know when you're saying like when she's walking around the house for 5 minutes? Replace that with what Alex said, where it's like they're knocking on doors and old people are like, "Get the hell out of here! Michael Myers might show it." Like that's more
Yeah.
important to establish the psychiatric mentality of this town than showing two doctors talking about a vial of placenta fluid. Like it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe they just needed to break up the scenes. Like what do we have? I don't know. They'll talk about placenta.
yeah.
Anyway,
That could be
sorry, I
it.
didn't mean to derail it, but I
no,
wanted
you
to
didn't
get that
derail at all.
because it's one of those things that I'm like, ew, gross. Why are they talking about this? And then I thought about it more, and I'm like, also, it doesn't need to be here. It's gross, and it doesn't need to be here.
Look, the thing that I'm going to say is way more derailing.
Okay.
The thing that I'm going to say is way more. Where the fuck? Here we go. Nope. Where the hell? Like we gotta make these clear. Here. Yep. I think that Tim's costume of Frankenstein's monster is based off the Robert De Niro film version of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein because the movie came out the same year. That's the theory.
All right. I mean, I haven't seen that movie since the
1995.
Since I was in the 9th grade, and my French teacher made us watch it in French to try and help us learn French. So it's like, we're gonna watch a movie. And it was like, sick. I hope it's Star Wars or something, like something that I really know every line of. Like it probably would help me if I knew every line, but it's like, no, we're gonna watch Robert De Niro's Frankenstein. We're all
Yeah, a movie
Robert
where
De Niro's
the
in a
main character
Frankenstein
barely
movie?
talks.
Like, what the hell? What do you mean?
I remember watching that too.
I think you
In
probably had
French.
the same French teacher that I had. Yeah. What was her name? She was kind of younger, and she like was very sort of like jolly. Like she was
I don't
short and,
remember.
like,
It was
weird.
like 20 years ago.
I know, but I don't remember her name. I just remember that she was nice, but you know, she was weird
Madame
like that.
something.
But yeah.
Okay, do you guys have a mental image of what Tim looked like with his Frankenstein outfit?
I keep every time you say it, I keep thinking of Tim wearing the oh, he has no hair.
It's like looks slicked back. He's got like a cut above his head. He's wearing like a.
So Jason, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to say that his costume is based on the classic Frankenstein costume that we all know and love from the Universal.
No, but that's like it's like Universal Monsters. Frankenstein has like the bolts, and he's got like the square head. He looks
Okay.
more like this.
But I mean, the classic
Hello,
one,
I'm Frankenstein, mate. No,
the classic one wears he wears like a sports jacket with black underneath, and that's exactly what he's wearing.
De Niro Frankenstein looks like Kano before he gets his eye painted.
He's like, I really got fucked up, but they finally took the metal piece off and they gave me some skin flaps instead. It's gonna take some getting used to. But,
You know that actor wasn't Australian and he pretended to be Australian for the rest of his life after Mortal Kombat?
yeah, he's in something else we watched.
And then he died, and his family was like, "Okay, well, now that he's dead, we can say
He's in that
not
ship.
Australian."
He's in that ghost ship piece of shit movie that we were on. That
did
other
you know
podcast.
that that's the same thing that happened to the Grizzly Man guy?
Really?
Yeah, he used to pretend he was Australian as well, and he would speak in like a fake Australian accent, and then he got eaten by bears. And then in that documentary by Werner Herzog, they're like, yeah, he wasn't Australian at all. He was just mentally ill. And it's like, oh, maybe you shouldn't be like airing this man's dirty laundry out after he got eaten by bears and like fucking died. But you know, Werner Herzog.
I think I was on that episode. Never mind.
What we yeah. Well, don't worry, we'll do it one day. We'll be like things you shouldn't watch.
So Beth and Tim are guests on this fucking Barry Sims.
But don't they invite him there? Aren't they the ones that get him there or something? Or is it like he's just planning to go there and they decide to like go? We're gonna go on his show and talk on stage or something.
They're just all excited and they're like, Barry Sims kicks ass, his shirt and all that.
Right.
Yeah, they want to be on a show, and then it's revealed that fucking this non-character Tim, who's introduced at the beginning of the movie, and then he's just sort of around. He's kind of like Finn Wolfhard's character in the new Ghostbusters movies, where he's just a nothing character. But he reveals that the Strodes live in the fucking Myers house. And Barry's like, why are we here talking about it here when we could go to that house?
It's a weird thing to introduce a character via their voice only and then have them show up and not say anything. And then have the other characters be like, we're going to have him take care of it. And he's like walking through the crowd. And I'm like, who is this? Who is this? Who is this?
And then
guy?
also he's like on the phone. Like I wrote, he's going to get murdered so hard. And while he's on the phone with his like producer or whatever,
once again, I wrote, he better get killed.
He gets killed immediately. Like this guy, between him being like, we're going to the Myers house, he literally says, I'll meet you there in 5 minutes, because it's like half a kilometer away. They say all this. And then he gets into the van and then he gets stabbed in the throat and murdered and killed. And dies.
Okay.
To death.
When he first got introduced, I said, is this guy the radio host? Because they're not really making it clear. Like they maybe should have made it more clear, because it's been so far removed. You haven't heard.
Clear. I thought it was pretty clear.
Okay, well, I mean, maybe I was just like
live from Haddonfield.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what after he's opening his and he's like, I'm talking about before this. I'm like, is this their friend? And it's friend from far away. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And then he does like a weird thing. And then I wrote down, you didn't even show your wiener. What are you doing? What kind of flasher are you? And then I wrote, Barry Sims needs to be arrested. There are children in the crowd. And then I said, as soon as I questioned if there actually were children in the crowd, she says, there are children here. We need to give out the candy.
Yeah.
And then I said,
Beth tells.
And then I wrote, relax your crack, because that's what he says to her. And then I said, okay, it's fine, because he dies less than 2 minutes later. I was waiting for it to happen. He dies.
Beth tells Tim about the Michael situation while they're waiting. And he's like, well, they fucked, and then they go upstairs and clearly bang. And I wrote dead probably. And I finally am done with this page.
Wait.
So I'm down to one page.
What I said when they get to the house, and he says, I'm sorry he turned out to be such an asshole, as I wrote, it's surprising that the asshole on the radio turned out to be an asshole in real life. What the fuck? When does that ever happen?
I thought it'd be nice if other people had that kind of introspection about their favorite like radio hosts being an asshole and not just becoming an asshole to be more like him.
Yeah, like me and Andrew Tate are two peas in a pod.
Yeah,
like if Andrew Tate met you, he would probably kick you in the balls and then say you did it yourself, and you would believe him.
Who is it?
This is the chairman, La Parka, wishing, hey, did you see this one? A happy Halloween.
Eyeballs at the end.
We have the same mask.
I like how there's always a moment at the end where people are like, how do I...
Yeah, they're looking like they're trying to look in the camera, but they're trying to find where to turn it off. At least in my walking up the stairs video, I edited out me grabbing my phone at the end.
You come
nobody
like the phone moving like crazy. Like
I had to edit a couple of them. I had to cut the beginning and end off.
That was Jamil?
That was Jamil. Yeah,
He's never
Jamil
been on
Robinson.
the show yet, but he will be one day.
I have him locked in for January.
I wrote that's. I don't even know who he is in this context. I thought I would know, but it says he calls Michael Myers the most brutal mass murderer in history. But then I looked it up, and Michael Myers only has 159 kills, and that would make him the 5th highest kill count for a serial killer if he was in real life.
In U.S. history or in all?
In world history.
Okay.
The number 1 isn't even a U.S. guy.
I have to reveal something to you guys quickly.
Yeah.
Also,
Oh, Jason's gonna show his butthole again.
Whoa.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Man has become Spider-Man.
Yeah.
oh man, it feels so much better that I don't have 2 costumes on now.
Yeah. I might ditch the boiler suit. I'll be back in a sec.
Also, here's my butthole. Yeah, the classic theme from Spider-Man.
You know in Spider-Man when he swings across the building and goes dun, 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 he starts beating everybody up. It's great. It's my favorite part.
Is the dun 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 dun? Is that Amazing Spider-Man or is that?
No, that's the old. I think that's the third one when he's like dun, 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 like when he's like evil a little bit. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He walks down the street like this.
That's Danny Elfman getting wild, being like, well, it has to be over the top. He's evil, like, like you know, every time he turns his head, it has to be spooky.
This is a good point. Michael Myers is a mid-carder in the Killer League. I think Michael Myers would be a gatekeeper mid-carder. I think top of the mid card. Voorhees would be the champ.
Yeah, but he also is, I think, one of the top feared. Even though he's a mid-carder in terms of numbers, he's feared. Most people fear him more than someone like Chucky or Freddy. Jason Voorhees is the winner. In Jason X, he kills a whole space station that has like 260,000 people on it.
That's true. I can't wait to watch that movie.
He can never be beaten unless, like, you know, unless you count Thanos.
I destroyed the entire half of the universe with the snap of my fingers.
Okay.
Oh wait, weird.
Thanos, I didn't mean to make fun of you, Thanos. Don't snap me into spaghetti. Can you play that one more time?
There's the unedited version.
Yeah, that was a good. You're perfectly timed. Also, we have a audio visual extravaganza here on this show, so you really should subscribe to us. You should watch us on video on demand whenever you can. But let's continue with the show. It's raining red. Hallelujah! It's raining red.
I have that same hat, and I went to look for it, and I couldn't find it. That's legit why I took so long to get my suit off. I ran to my bedroom to look for that hat.
What is happening here? Hi, Barbara Nelson. Welcome to the show. Play the song.
It happened.
Nelson, do you guys know?
Look, Mom, it's raining red. Who's she talking to?
It's raining red.
Hallelujah, it's raining red.
Oh fuck, Barry Simpson in a tree, dead, bleeding all over a little girl. Weird. That's my next note.
That's like the third worst thing that Barry Sims did to little kids at that thing.
It's true. What a strange scene. Because the vibe that I got off of this is like Tommy is seeing this happen. And I thought that he was having like a hallucinogenic moment. I thought he was hallucinating this. Like this happens in horror movies all the time where they're seeing something that's like out of their Michael Jackson Thriller, of course. And what's insane is this is happening in real time, where some sort of viscous liquid is falling out of the tree, and then pan up, and Barry Sims, who's just been stabbed, has like Christmas lights all over him or something.
Yeah.
Is that what I was to believe? Steve, what are you doing there, bud?
I was just waiting for you guys to be finished.
Oh,
the podcast, or
no? I was trying to find the sting. I was going to download it and try and put it in quickly, but I can't find it. So I won't do.
Yeah, it looked like he was wrapped up, and it looked like maybe the lights were supposed to form the thorn over his body.
Oh, okay.
That I think I tried to see that, because then they're like, he's back or whatever.
Yeah.
You mean when the body falls out of the tree? Is that what you guys are talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I assumed when he fell and like I saw all the cuts, I thought it was just going to be the symbol, right? Like that's what it should have been. Like, why? Logically, that's what you do, right? They didn't do that. It just kind of looked like cuts all over his body. And at first I'm like, is he wrapped in barbed wire? Like, what's happening here? Like, I couldn't really tell what was going on. All I knew is that like the little girl being like, it's raining was weird. And I'm like, is Paul Rudd tripping out now? Is this going to be a ghost or something? And the way they set that sequence up, you think it is going to be. And the fact that it's just a little girl letting blood rain down on her.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's so fucking weird. Such a weird choice.
It's weird, but it's also like kind of terrifying, because like that moment kind of grounded me for a second, where I was like, I can imagine myself at a fair like this where there's a murderer on the loose and like a little girl not understanding that that's not rain that you're feeling, that's blood, and you need to get out of there. And how do I like get you out of here without you looking up and seeing a corpse oozing blood on you?
It's a viscous liquid.
It was kind of effective for me, but it also made me think the little girl was stupid as shit.
Yeah.
It's like, are you fucking dumb? You're not going to look up at what's dripping on you?
Yeah, you're not old
You never
enough
been
to know
dripped on
that there's
before?
not red rain.
We also get the sequence where cut back to Tim and Beth, who have either finished banging or about to bang. Tim says he has to go to the shower because I gotta be clean, even though they're both naked. I don't know. I didn't really understand.
I think that was a post-coital
post-coital shower
cleaning ritual.
Yeah. Jason doesn't shower after sex. We've all learned just now.
No, I do, but I'm wondering, because he's like, I got to stay fresh for you. I didn't know if they were getting hot and heavy, and then he went to shower, because I shower before and after.
Do you see them?
Okay, right. But we do get a great scene where Mike Myers hands him the soap or the towel.
Yeah.
And he's got the fucking thorn on his wrist.
Yeah.
Again. They're really hitting this
like we
rune
wouldn't have
thing
known
home.
that it was him. They had the tattoo. Yeah.
His hand. And then he gets out of the shower and he wipes off the steam from the mirror and then gets fucking his throat slit.
It doesn't scream at all. You're like, oh,
what does Michael Myers get out of that? Like, is he just sitting in the bathroom, just like?
Yeah, I want to make this. He's like, I don't want to get wet. I want to make sure he dries off first.
Like he bamboozles him by handing him the soap or whatever. It's like,
no, he gives him the towel. He just
the
wants
towel.
him to
Yeah,
dry,
sorry,
he's
not
like,
the
dry
towel.
off, then I'll kill you, so I don't get my jumpsuit all covered in water. Like, you know what it's
And then
like doing murders when you got wet cuffs on your. If I get like a squirt of water down the zipper part, oh my god, I'm gonna be uncomfortable for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, that's true.
I do know what that's like personally, I think.
You know when you're doing dishes and you like accidentally squeeze the sponge or something and it goes up your sleeve? You're
Yeah,
like,
That's the worst.
he doesn't
That's the
want- he doesn't
actual
want that.
worst.
That's why I never wear a cardigan when I'm doing my dishes.
You do it in
That's a good point.
your full on like jumpsuit, your Jason.
Yeah.
Beth and Kara are sort of like looking at each other through their respective buildings that they're in. They're in the houses across the street from one another while they're on the phone. Danny and Tommy have gone at this point, and then Kara has the classic fireplace poker, and then she sees Beth get murdered from across the way, which I thought was a good little moment. And then she goes over to the Strode house and finds Beth and Tim murdered. This is the classic Halloween move. This is the classic like final girl finding all the murders throughout the house thing.
But she sees Danny go in the house, right?
She sees Danny like run up the stairs.
Like she sees
before
him
she goes up.
going down like in front of the house.
Yeah.
And I wrote, this woman is so shit at making sure her son stays in that room. Because it's the second time that he's gotten out of the room.
And like sometimes she'll just tell him to leave. Be like, get out of here, Danny. We need to have a conversation. And then she'll yell at him 2 seconds later for leaving. Like, don't ever leave my sight again. He's like, you told me to leave, man. So I can't blame him for wandering because she just.
I mean, he wanders into the house where the people are getting married. That's a bit, or murdered.
Married and married.
Yeah.
That's the difference, am I right?
Halloween Resurrection is when they tie the knot finally.
And Busta Rhymes shows up and he's like, "I'll kill you, guy." Beth, nope. We get a flash. We get a classic flash of lightning Myers sighting, which I always love in these movies. And then I wrote, does every slasher have this trope where the final girl sees all the murders in a row? Because she sees Beth and Tim in the bed, and then the mom comes, and the dad is there murdered, and the mom comes down from the ceiling. And that's also where Michael is like, just like walking through behind Kara while she's witnessing all this. And then she ducks around a corner in the stairwell and just trips him, and he goes barreling down.
Oh, she bamboozles the shit out of him. That was a really good move. Where she just hides to the left and he walks past it. And that is what I was thinking a lot about. That was like it. I feel like this movie did a good job of making Michael Myers a little bit fallible.
Yeah. He doesn't know where you are all the time.
Yeah, like a lot of times, like he'll walk into a room and he'll kind of like look around and then he'll leave the room, and you think, okay, he's doing that so that you let your guard down, and then he's there, but then he just actually is somewhere else.
Rarely, but this is the one series that does do that every once in a while, where it's like you can trick Michael Myers because he is just a guy. Whereas the other ones treat them like they're ghosts or
she like fucks him up down the stairs. Like he can't die or whatever, presumably, but it's like you can knock him out. Like you can hit him over the head with a fire poker and he will fall down the stairs, and that'll buy you a little bit of time.
Jason can be stopped. You just have to hit him with like 3 shotgun blasts directly to the face at point blank.
Yeah.
And then he'll go down for like 2
But I mean,
minutes.
we've had this conversation before. It's like, which one would you rather go up against out of the 4 that we do? And I always say Michael
Chucky.
Myers. I always say Michael Myers because I know that like I'm probably going to die against all of them, but I know that I could probably survive the longest against Michael Myers because there's a way you can just keep running in one direction, and he eventually, unless he gets a car, which he usually
yeah,
that's true.
He's not going to get you. But the other one,
I just feel like I could punt Chucky.
I'm sure a lot of people have
everybody says Chucky, but I'm like,
Chucky
has unnatural, magical, like murder god strength that has been given to him by a literal, like otherworldly entity. He can probably like drop kick you in the chest and collapse your heart.
Michael Myers, you just got to make it till November 1st.
Just make it till midnight. And he just turns around and walks away.
Yeah, and then he goes into his recliner for another year, like ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Or goes and lives with a fisherman next to a river for a fucking year, which actually happens, kind of. Anyway, Mike's in hot pursuit. They make it into the house with the squad. Danny hears the Hat Man again, but it's the Druids. Is that the guy from Halloween 3? This was a question that I had. Is the guy who's like doing all of this, the guy with the gray hair, is he the guy from Halloween 3? Is this a retcon to
He's
make
in
that
Halloween
movie?
1? Like this character has been around forever.
But Halloween 3 is still completely outside of all of this lore.
Oh, he's not the character from Halloween 3, no.
Okay.
Halloween 3, the movie Halloween.
The movie Halloween is a movie. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
But yeah, he's in the last movie at the end as well, where he frees Michael from jail after he like blows away an entire police department with a. He like goes in with like a Tommy gun, and is like like kills everybody, and then frees Michael Myers.
So keep the change.
Do you
you
remember
filthy
this
animal.
conversation, Jason? Where we were all like, "What is going on here?
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening?" And then this is where it's finally explained that he's like, "Yeah, I've been in charge of this the whole time." But he's also the one that says, like, in the first Halloween movie, his character is like, he can't drive, and Loomis is like, he'll find a way. He'll find a fucking way to do it. And you're like, okay, well, geez. But like, you know, he probably taught Michael Myers how to drive. He's like, all right, now, Michael, this is a stick shift. You want to put it into park when you're.
D is for
we're not in park.
druid.
Yeah.
You want to
D
back
is
into this parking spot and then accelerate out of the parking spot to indicate that you know how to take a left and a
powerful
right.
beings in the entire universe. Well, when you put it in D, you can kill just like a druid.
Michael Myers
D
must
for
be so
druid.
excited to drive because he can finally go faster than a brisk walking pace.
He's the original Sonic the Hedgehog. Actually, Sonic the Hedgehog, like 3 had come and passed at this point. So the old lady, Mrs. Breckenstale, or whatever her fucking name is, she's in on it.
Yeah. She has a
Kara
crazy ceremonial dagger.
Yeah.
Get the fucking
Yeah, and then-
hacker on stage.
And then the most unexplainable thing happens.
Well, just before that, we get this crazy scene where everything comes to a head, where everybody in the movie is in the same room. There's all these reveals. And then, do you want to tell us what happens next? Because it's so crazy.
She screams, but not in a way that she's scared, almost in a way like she's frustrated. She goes, ah! And then she jumps out the fucking window.
This is also the way she screams for the rest of the movie. Like,
Yeah.
she doesn't. She's been doing this scared screams the whole time, but this now she's like, I'm gonna fucking get. I gotta get out of here. She's like, I'm fed up and tired of this
And
shit.
she jumps out the window. The window like explodes.
Yeah.
And she just lands on the ground.
My note
Well-
for the dive out the window was, what a dive. Like she just
Why didn't she open the window? Like you could have consciously achieved that result.
Yeah. And
Well,
she
yeah.
clearly landed like on her head. Like she didn't.
Yeah.
Like she dove like a dolphin. Like she's diving into a pool.
I think it might have been kind of a reference to the first Michael Myers falling off the balcony and then disappearing like moment, because we get that and then it cuts to Loomis and Tommy, who are like, they're all
I
fucking
feel like I've been drugged.
We've been drugged.
And Loomis is like, we have been. Like, okay.
Yeah. And
Thanks
then
for
it's
confirming.
it's just like I feel like they were trying, like I feel like there's a lot missing there, like that was supposed to be in the movie, and they're like, we don't have time to do all that
You
shit.
have to cut the
Just
whole
say
scene
you were
where they-
drugged.
Yeah.
Like, that's what happened.
They were about to shoot all that, and like Donald Pleasence was like, "Can't we just say we were drugged?" And they're like, "Okay, yeah."
Yeah, it's like it's like Harrison Ford shooting the guy in
I have
Raiders.
diarrhea, Steven. Can
Yeah,
I
it's
just shoot him?
dysentery. I feel like
Carrie
I was
wakes,
drugged.
Carrie wakes up in a dungeon. I'm wondering if this is the original asylum from the first movie that Michael Myers escaped from. I assume it's the one from the beginning of this movie, but is this the asylum that Michael Myers originally escaped from? Loomis
Well, they talk about that one, but yeah, it's never
explicitly
there. But you would assume it is.
I would
because he's
assume
got-
it would be
He's
the
got
same
like a
one.
regular office that he would have.
Yeah.
in a place like that. Yeah.
Loomis recognizes the evil. It's a note that I wrote. I forget what that means, but the man wants the baby and Loomis to join them. He usually recognizes the evil. That's kind of his.
I know,
shtick.
but like, yeah, if you don't remember what your note means, then maybe
Yeah.
let's all talk about it. What do you think that means?
No.
Are there any clean sanitariums?
They're all so dirty.
They're always like
Banana.
oppressive.
But then there's so many clean looking rooms coming up. where
Why
we
don't they
see, like,
just
a
make
ton
a nice sanitarium? Do you think that would be better for the people who are interred there?
Yeah, and I guess at night they only.
I guess
like-
they didn't care, right? They're just
No,
like,
they don't care. And also, I don't know if you know this, but the government hates spending money on helping people.
yeah. But I mean,
just-
just sterile, like make it look a little less like a sanitarium. You know, just put
I
paint some
assume that,
flowers on the
like,
wall.
In the daytime, this place probably looks really clean, but at night it's lit exclusively by blue and green lighting.
Where all the grime is.
Yeah, it's like let's make it look like a fucking X-Files goosebumps episode for this last final bout, but who knows? All we know for sure is that I feel like we've been drugged. We have been drugged, you idiot. Have you ever been drugged before? What the fuck?
I've been drugged intentionally and unintentionally. I know what it feels like.
every night to go to sleep because I can't deal with the dreams of evil not dying. I shot him 6 times.
6 times.
We have a weird conversation between Dr. Wynn and Dr. Loomis.
Dr. Wynn wants the baby and Loomis to join him in a new age of evil.
It's like a Star Wars thing. It's like, Loomis, if only you could see what I see. We can destroy this.
You do not know the power of the evil side.
Tommy meets a freaky woman who's been stabbed while they kind of
He has not been stabbed, Jason.
I don't know what that was. I
Her
couldn't
baby
really.
was removed from her stomach.
Oh,
Put it together. They're in a fucking laboratory where they make people pregnant.
Yeah, I did not understand that.
Yeah, I didn't clock that yet. She collapses. There's a part where Kara is running away, and so Tommy bashes the door. He's bashing the door open.
This is the one Paul Rudd moment where you're like, "Oh, Paul Rudd's coming."
So Paul
yeah,
Rudd.
He's like, it's like he's becoming Paul Rudd.
Yeah, he's doing that fucking head bob thing that Paul Rudd does.
He collapses his knees together like the Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz, and he's like, "Oh!"
And he stops. He stops and looks. And this is also what we were talking about at the beginning of the episode, where it's like, is he with or is he against Michael Myers?
Yeah.
Is he trying to? Is he fascinated by him, or he knows he's pure evil and he's got to do something to destroy him?
Yeah.
But Michael Myers at this point is moving so comically slowly.
Almost like Michael Myers is also is he on my side or not on my side? He's like, maybe I'll slow down just a little bit to see where this goes.
But there's a really crazy moment here that I've never seen.
Even the music slows down.
I've never seen in any slasher film where we get them running away from Michael Myers, and Paul Rudd closes the fucking bars, and Michael grabs Kara and pulls her back, and he's like, got her. And the way that she screams bloody murder here
what I'm saying about Alex
the craziest shit I've ever seen. Oh, get your hands off me! Oh, yeah. And
it's not like a damsel scream.
No, it's like a get your
it's
hands
like she's
off
trying to
me,
go Super Saiyan.
I'll rip your dick off if you don't get your hands out of my hair. And then Paul Rudd finds a grenade launcher, I guess.
Yeah.
But the way that they pose it is like there's a bunch
crazy
of syringes, but it's like a revolver or a fucking Desert Eagle
I didn't write it down, but I thought that looks like something that used to kill cattle.
Yeah. I thought it was like a tear gas cannon or something for if the crazies get out. We gotta gas them. That's what it looks like to me.
During this whole sequence, it's funny you say that. During this whole sequence, this is where I'm like, why has this just become Resident Evil? Because you have there's no zombies, but you have these doctors, right? Who are you don't be seen by the doctors, and then you have a clear and present danger sort of character like Michael Myers, who's whenever there's. He's like Nemesis, who will show up and fucking fuck your shit up.
Mr. X or whatever, that weird guy.
Yeah, and he's not explicitly aligned with the other bad guys. He's just also a bad guy.
Yeah.
This movie had this is what I'm saying about the Resident Evil video game thing, where you're doing your shit, you're trying to escape, you're trying to figure out what's going on, and then Michael Myers just shows up, and it's just dun 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 dun, like in a Resident Evil game, and I fucking
God, give it a rest, Michael.
Yeah. Come on, we're trying to get some exposition out. We want to know what these scientists are up to. And he's like,
what are these rooms?
And he kills a whole room full of scientists. You're like, fuck, I'll never get to hear these scientists' backstory.
My next note is
this is where I kind of started to, once they start going into all the rooms and shit, I'm like, oh, I think I get what's going on. I think that they've been stealing his sperm. They probably, because they have all these goo
Milk
Myers. Yeah, they have a room called Milk Myers. And it's a bunch of straps, and they hang them up like a fucking cow, like in Jurassic Park, and they jerk them off. Well,
somebody's gonna bust in right when you're talking about that.
Happy Halloween. Hey, did you see this one? From Charles Maple Leafs captain Wendell Clark. You know, it's important this Halloween season to remember to keep your stick on the ice and Michael! The darkest eyes, purely and simply evil.
That was Nicholas Latimer, who gets the movie right almost every week, and he hit it out of the park. Thanks for
That was
coming.
good, yeah. Michael.
6 times.
Why tonight, Michael? Oh no.
Oh, we got another kid at the door.
Happy Halloween.
Gee, I wonder who that. I wonder who that was.
The best days, man. Happy
The best
Halloween. Anyway, so yeah, they go into all these rooms after the conversation between Loomis and Wynn. I'm thinking, oh, okay, they're not, they're not like making Michael Myers fuck these people. They're just taking his sperm and using like in vitro techniques to.
They're juicing him.
Yeah, they're growing it in a tube and then putting it back into the women because Michael would not be able to have sex with. He can't. He would be put into a room with somebody else and he would just immediately kill them. Like he wouldn't be like, I want to have sex. He'd be like, kill, ding, 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 ding. Like he would find something in the room to stab them with that wasn't his wiener. And that's sort of like what the allegory of Michael Myers is, right? Is like he's like a sexually violent creature, but he has to like impale you on stuff and like stab you, and like he always kind of like brutally murders men by like breaking their necks, but he always like stabs women or whatever. That's like the whole
Oh yeah, wasn't there one of the other Halloween movies where there was like he like is in the car and she thinks that he's her boyfriend, and then that's where we sort of indicate
He hands her the
that
towel.
no, this is a couple movies
the
ago.
car, the steamy car one.
Yeah, I remember like he's like the greaser boyfriend, and she thinks that he's dressed as Michael Myers, and then
Yeah,
kind
I
of
think
thought
that's
about
the
did they
second
fuck
movie.
or did they kiss? She kisses him. She like pulls the mask up and kisses them or something.
Yeah, but he isn't. Yeah, but I think we came to the conclusion it's like no, she did that to him, and then he just killed her. And the steam is from like, the struggles and death rolls. He's not like
Is he yucky under the mask?
I mean, I assume
He's
he
got a
smells like
fucked up
shit.
eye.
You
He
never
probably
see him
smells
bathing.
terrible.
Like, do we ever? You never. Obviously, I'm assuming they never show him. Like, did they ever get
seen him.
desperate to where they're like, okay,
They
we
show
got to
him.
show his
They
face?
show him.
Oh, do
We've
they?
seen him.
Yeah.
So in one of the movies, he gets stabbed in the eye with a coat hanger, and
His
then
hands are gross, but is
his hands
like
are gross.
is his hands?
That's why
is
he
his
got
face-
burnt
His
real
hands
bad.
are gross because he got burned in the second movie.
Okay.
He's
Yeah.
supposed to be pretty burned up under there. But I don't think his face is burnt. Like that's the other thing is his hands are burnt and stuff, but like his face, I think is supposed to be relatively normal.
I just want to very clearly say they realize Dr. Wynn, who is Loomis's friend, is the cult leader and has been manipulating Michael.
Yeah.
I
I want to just say that Dr. Wynn has been a character since the first Halloween movie, but only since the fourth one is the Man in Black been like a character that they added. And then it just was this. But I mean, I guess sort of a smart idea. It's like, let's introduce a weird thing that we can use in the next one to have a whole crux of a story. But I mean, successfully, maybe not. But I didn't mind it. I kind of like having another element. You know, if it's just Michael Myers killing again, then it's just Michael Myers killing again. I sort of like having this secondary faction of evil. And I also do like the idea that a lot of them are like just scientists who are like, we just want to figure this out. We just want to figure out evil. Is there an equation to evil or not?
Well, according to my notes, it says that Michael, under the cult's control, goes on a rampage at Smith's Grove, killing cult members and security staff. Tommy injects Michael with tranquilizers, attempting to weaken him. And that's the point of my notes. From my point of view, I write, so Michael just goes berserk on all the doctors in a pretty brutal segment, trying to get the kids.
Yeah.
Get
I wrote,
his
so I
kid.
guess they aren't fully in control of him because he's just killing all the scientists now. And then
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And then I said, now it's aliens because it just looks like aliens, or it's like lights flashing and smoke everywhere in tubes. And shit.
Yeah, because it looks like Independence Day when the alien gets free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael
And then
Myers,
I've got,
release me.
I've got fun fact: Paul Rudd improvised some of the confrontation with Michael, infusing the tense final scene with raw, unpredictable energy.
Is that true?
So when he,
it's in my notes.
This is the thing that I wanted to say earlier: is when he stabs him with all those.
Oh yeah, the
injectors.
tubes.
I'm like, okay, that's cool. That he, because it's like obviously those are meant for like one dose. It probably makes him docile or whatever. But hitting him with all those, I'm thinking at some point during this confrontation, he's just gonna like, like fall on his face. And I was waiting and hoping for like a long shot of like Paul Rudd backing up and him just like bouncing like hard, like on the floor. Yeah. It would have been a comedic shot, but it also would have been like pretty impactful.
Or something. Like I feel like I've seen that scene in one of these movies.
I didn't hear what you said. I was talking over you.
Sorry, I was talking over you. So, oops. That's happened in one of either this or Jason, where they get tranquilized and they're in mid like swing and just face plant.
I think it's Freddy versus Jason.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah, this would have predated that, and I wanted that sort of like long shot, like a wide angle of him just hitting the ground flat on his face. It would have been funny, but it also would have been like impactful on you, and it would have been like victorious, But I guess they wanted to have the moment of him hitting him in the head with a pipe over and over again
for like an hour.
Yeah.
And he
which was
juices
awesome.
him again. That's the funny part. It's like
he hits him and juices
like, yeah,
him,
have
and then
one more.
We're getting like a trippy shot where we're seeing like the juice come out of Michael Myers' mask, and we never see him again after this point. Like spoilers, we get the he's gone moment. We don't get to see the mask all covered in the green, but there are flashes of it, and I thought that was really cool. And I really wanted to get a good close-up shot of that because I want to know. He injected him with all this green goo. Is it coming out of all of his wounds?
This is the thing: is that Michael Myers doesn't really bleed, right? Like you don't.
Yeah.
In all these movies, he doesn't really bleed, and like in this, I think they're like, we got to make it gooey. We got to make it gooey. Can't be blood though. You don't
Put
see
some
Michael
green
Myers
in him.
bleed. We'll just make the injector thing. Like
hit him with the ooze.
And like I don't know what it's meant to really display other than like he is sort of like a stagnant corpse, like he doesn't have blood going through his body, but he has this ooze in there now, and that's what's coming out when he hits him in the head. But yeah, it doesn't really make sense. And this is another thing that I'm always like, what is Michael Myers? Is he just pure evil? What happened? What's going on here?
Because Jason's a zombie, like he's zombified, and he's brought back to life with like lightning. Which
Freddy's a demon. Dream demons made him a dream demon. Chucky's got a medallion where he talks to a god. He comes back with god powers. But yeah, Michael Myers is supposed to just be the embodiment of evil, and
he's powered by one day on a calendar. That's his.
He's powered by wanting to kill his family. But
yeah. But if he doesn't kill his family, then his whole village dies.
I assume that
didn't he play RuneScape?
Yeah, I know Paul Rudd did. He played a lot of it, but
that's what he was doing up in his room, watching Kara from across the way, jacking it,
drinking Jolt Cola, jacking off, and playing RuneScape.
Hey, it's a pretty good.
Listening to Barry Sims.
Listen to Barry Sims and Stone Temple Pilot knockoff bands.
But he hits him again, and then he tells them to get out of there, and then Loomis shows up, and he gets Loomis once again gun happy as crazy, doing like Star Wars style shit where he's shooting like door locks and the doors are opening. Like, oh, this guy's Han Solo.
I got a key right here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a lock that you need to put a key into and turn to get like a giant sort of like barred door to open. Yeah. He's just shooting it and it opens.
He doesn't even get it on the first shot. I like that.
Yeah, he misses the first one. Yeah.
So
I
have a question.
Han Solo style like way of. All right. Well, if I shot it once, didn't work. I've got
boring
5
conversation
more
anyway.
I can shoot it 6 more times.
I have a question about who the man is that gets killed Somebody's revving an engine. Who's the man that gets killed? So they're all fleeing out of the place. You would think the place is about to explode. That's the vibe that I got, but it's not. They're running out of there, and there's a guy. Michael Myers grabs a guy and pushes his head like almost through a.
Yeah, T1000s them through the bars. I just assumed
But
he
it
was one
also
of the scientists.
pushes down the bars. Was it
Yeah.
just a random scientist, or was it a named NPC?
I didn't recognize. I think he was.
it was just He was one of those doctors in.
He was a red
facility
shirt
level of N64 Goldeneye, like the guy.
Yeah, he was a non-doke doctor in facility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you shot him in the leg enough times, he would pull a gun out and try to shoot you.
I wrote Hot Pursuit. How is there only 10 minutes left in this movie? They end up in some freaky lab with fetuses. Tommy is going to give up the baby. Bait and switch. It's actually 5 syringes of green goo. We already talked about this.
I wrote evil fetus.
Evil fetus?
This is where it solidified the fact that they've tried this before and they realize it doesn't always take, and they like save the fetuses for study and shit. Like,
yeah,
they're not getting Michael Myers to like fuck their captives to try and make. They realize they're like, we need the genealogy. We need something from his.
They have some
family.
They've had some semblance of control of this freak for 6 years. They've been doing experiments on him. They've been milking him, and they've been impregnating other freaks.
I assume they use the green goo to keep him like,
sedated
docile enough that they can take his cum and then like use it for science.
He strangles Kara. Danny yells. Michael goes to him. Tommy injects more goo.
He can't get through he's like trying really hard to get in between those two vats, and he's just like, ugh.
It reminded me of like a Jaws scene or something, like a shark can't get.
It reminded me of myself trying to get something out of the back of my closet.
Or like you're trying to plug in an Ethernet cable.
And you're like
back of
your
a
guts
tower.
scraping against like a TV stand, and you can't quite. You're trying to plug the circle wire into the back of your Xbox. You know where it is, but it's not seating.
And then you hear your wife in the background. Is everything okay over there? And you just turn like, and you're like,
fucking missing. I've been captivated by it this whole episode. The kids escape, and Tommy wails on Michael as he bleeds green goo. What the fuck? They leave him for dead. Loomis is going to stay, and the rest leave. Michael's gone, of course, and the ending is just a fucking pumpkin in memory of Donald Pleasence.
Dude, he wails on him for a while. And then he's done, and then he's like, actually, no, I'm not done.
One more. And then it just cuts to him in a car being like, come with us. And you're like, what the heck? What happened? I guess
Here's a fun fact. The producer's cut ends differently. With Dr. Loomis receiving the Mark of Thorn, suggesting he's the cult's next leader.
Yeah. They probably changed that because he probably died while
he fucking died. Yeah. I think that like there's another note here where it's like he's limited in all of this because it's like it was clear he was going to pass away, so they had to that's why it just cuts to him for like a line and then cuts back to Paul Rudd. But that's pretty much it. This film's troubled production led to 2 different cuts, the theatrical release and the producer's cut, both of which have become popular horror lore.
It ends very abruptly.
Yes,
it does.
Like one of the most
it goes from the ultimate showdown of Paul Rudd hitting him with a pipe to the credits in like 45 seconds.
Yeah.
I would actually be surprised if it was that many seconds.
It could have been less seconds.
Yeah, it very well could have.
So I think sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I already talked about it earlier. My final note was, Jesus Christ, that end felt rude to Donald Pleasence. I probably would have ended it differently, because having him scream to death off screen while shooting a Michael Myers mask and then cutting to in loving memory.
I didn't realize that's what it was happening.
I didn't clock that at all. I did not even fucking know that's what was happening.
And it wasn't even like a new it was a scream from like the other movies. which
They
means
should
they
have
could have
got Kara
taken.
to do the scream. Ah!
Yeah, they could have, or they could have just done nothing. But I said it before. I probably would have used one of his other lines, like from the first movie or something.
Hello,
like,
Michael.
Hello, Michael. Yeah, like it would have been more, I think, meaningful. And you can still extrapolate that he gets killed in that scenario. You don't have to have the sound of him being murdered to think that Michael Myers would have murdered him.
Yeah.
Especially after he Han Solo'd all the bullets out of his gun to get that door open.
Yeah, you can't shoot him 6 times when he's already shut the door 5 times.
It's like, I shut the door 5 times to get you out of there. I've got some business to take care of. I'll be right back. Do you have any wine in the car? Yeah, I think we have a couple bottles in the back.
Yeah, it's
These
1995.
are empty. Oh, yeah, I drank those when you were in there. I needed some liquid courage. All right, I'll see you later. Ding dong dong, ding dong dong.
Rest in peace, Donald Pleasence. You showed up for one final movie. You're going to be replaced in the next one by Busta Rhymes, of course.
But then he gets replaced by Malcolm McDowell as the new Loomis later.
Oh,
Loomis.
Hey, happy Halloween. Have you seen this one?
it's Eddie from Stranger Things, and also Jenny Johnson from our famous episode that we did,
Galaxy Quest,
which of course was Galaxy Quest. You can see Jenny Johnson back here for Robin Hood during December when we do fan guest picks and projects.
Also, amazing artist. That was the one person that was on the show that I was like starstruck by. I was like, oh my god, you're such a good painter. I followed you since before I knew that Jason knew you.
I knew you'd appreciate that trick or treat.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's only a couple trick or treaters left, and we only have a couple segments left. So why don't we talk about our Home Alone of it all?
If you had to pick one, what do you think the Home Alone of it all?
the Home Alone of it all?
Can someone please tell me when the Home Alone?
I really gotta know.
When is the Home Alone of it all?
What is the Home Alone of it all?
Now that's the Home Alone of it all.
If you've been around for a while, of course, you know that the Home Alone of it all is the idea that in the movie Home Alone, when Kevin McAllister slaps down the blueprint, so Harry and Marv can go and get destroyed by a small child in a series of sadistic traps. That's the part of the movie we were kind of all there to see. And I've posited that most movies have a similar sort of idea where, it could be just that a section of the movie you're waiting to get to. It could also be just the third act, or it could be your favorite part of the movie. And on Hey Did You See This One, the very podcast movie review show that you're watching right now, the guest always goes first. So, Alex, you've been here a number of times. You understand the idea of the Home Alone of it all. What's your Home Alone of it all for Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers?
You know, for all the episodes I've done, you'd think I would think about this while I'm watching the movie. I think in the true spirit of Home Alone, I think it's kind of when Paul Rudd goes to the sanitarium and starts I don't know if it's explicitly when he's busting her out and sees Michael Myers for the first time, because I think that's the first time he sees him. Or it's maybe the moments preceding that, but it's I feel like that's kind of where they're taking the fight to him.
Right.
I don't know if that's when the movie ramps up, but that's definitely the Kevin McAllister spreading out the map moment for me. That's what I would say.
That's pretty good. How about you, Steve?
This one's kind of hard because I almost feel like I don't really have one, because there's sort of a standardization of tension throughout where I can't really pinpoint exactly when I'm well, it's begun. But I think in terms of story, it's probably when Paul Rudd finds the blood trail where I'm ding-ding, and I'm oh, this is turning into a detective movie. And then, we get him to go off and find his 4 other trails of blood, but then the only one we really need to see is where he finds it leads to a baby. Because it's important, I guess, to the story, and that's where the story begins. Before that, it doesn't really matter. And the story that you thought mattered, which was her escaping. No, she died. She died in a pumpkin patch or whatever. Yeah, I mean, like, that's sort of where it became interesting for me. But I didn't say this was in my notes. I wrote it like several times. Like, I hate babies in movies. Like, I really don't like it a lot of the time because I find having a baby on screen always reminds me of like the twisted nature of cinema, where it's like they're forcing this thing that has no choice to be on camera for hours under hot lights and stuff. And it's annoying to hear a baby crying a lot in a movie. But if I had to like choose like an action-y moment, it would probably be as soon as you hear the Michael Myers music for the first time, which is when her head gets put on the spike, the mysterious spike that exists in the hallway that is clearly like a technical hallway that doesn't need to have spikes there, but that one needed to be there for purposes unknown. But yeah, I'll choose the baby.
Perfect. For me, because this series does this a couple times, my Home Alone of it all is when it pops up on the screen, Haddonfield, Hollywood. Halloween.
Haddonfield, Hall of Oats.
Because Holland Oats. Because that happens like a couple of times in this series, and I feel like that's sort of the marker that delineates. Yeah, that it's like you watch the opener. Here's all the beginning stuff that sort of sets the scene, and now
same place. Yeah,
yeah. Now it's Halloween, and it's starting, and but like I agree with you guys as well. I would go so far as to say that like that ending sequence where Michael Myers is just like murdering a room full of scientists is also like a really cool slasher thing. And this movie, like I really link it to like the vibe I get when I play like those Resident Evil remasters, where I felt like I was playing a.
Wait, you thought this movie reminded you of Resident Evil?
Why didn't you say that?
You should have said it like 10 other times during the.
You know what it really reminded me of? Final Fantasy X, and I'll tell you why. No. One does not remind.
At the end when Paul Rudd's like,
remember when Michael Myers jumps out of the closet and says, "Teach me how to blitz."
Yeah, I do remember that. Oh.
Hey there. Just want to give a shout out to my boy Jason. Remember when he used to hold my pocket? Yeah. Wild times. Happy Halloween, everybody. It is a really warm day, which is crazy. This is great. And all the best. I don't know why I mean that, but this person's staring at me. Got a problem? Anyways, happy Halloween. Hey, did you see this one? Fantastic work. Let's have me on one time.
That was, of course, Stratosphere, a professional wrestler here in Toronto. Steve's seen him wrestle before at Super Kicked Wrestling.
What's his persona?
It's Stratosphere. He's from The Cure, remember?
I see.
You've seen him. He is
I only recognize him when he's mostly naked and wearing
mostly naked.
Yeah.
What's fun about him is the reason he couldn't be on the show tonight. I was gonna have him come on and chill with us, but every Halloween he goes out dressed up like Michael Myers and tortures the neighborhood kids who are trick or treating. He just does Michael Myers in his neighborhood with other people who are dressed like Michael Myers. So if you were
that's like the 4th movie where all those idiots dress up like Michael Myers and run around.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So Stratos, thank you for submitting that. We'll have you on. That'll be a fun episode because he's a horror guy and a movie guy. But with that, do you guys want to Hey, remember in Saw when Jigsaw was like, "You want to play a game?"
I remember.
I remember too.
It's time to play Guess the MPAA.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael, Jason, Steven, Alex Gow, and I'm your host tonight for the hit game show that's sweeping the nation. Hey, can you guess this MPAA? Hey, that actually fucking works pretty good. I'm joined as always by my co-host, Steven, off-duty Dark Knight.
What? I'm not off duty. What are you talking about? What do you mean
On
Dark
duty.
Knight?
On duty,
No,
Batman.
No. I'm not a Dark Knight.
Steven Batman, who's going to explain the rules quick and dirty.
All right, so in Gotham, we do it this way. We have 3 numbers that we need to guess, Alex Gow, between 999 and 000, either going up or down, whatever your choice may be. 000999. There could be any combination of those 3 digits between those 2 numbers. That's what we need to guess. Jason's going to give us the first 2 digits of a 5-digit number, but we only need to guess the 3 at the end of that number.
Now, there is a new rule, which I will explain. If we have to get to that point, there will be a tiebreaker. But the first 2 numbers, are 3-3.
Oh my god, it came through my microphone. What the fuck?
It's
television.
Look at my tie. The first 2 numbers are 3-3, and the guest always goes first. Alex, what are your first 3 digits?
Let's go with like a fun Halloween version and go 666.
And of course, I will tell you if it's higher or lower. And Steve, it is higher.
Let's do the reverse of that. No, I was going to say 999. Let's go with 800 flat.
Alex, lower for your second guess.
749.
Jesus Christ. Steve, for your second guess, lower.
730.
Alex, for your third and final guess, higher.
748.
Steve, for your final guess, lower.
745.
No, that's wrong. That's incorrect. But what we'll do is we'll have a tiebreaker. So I'm going to tell you guys that the budget for this movie was $5 million. And if either of you can guess the box office without going over, I'll give you an additional guess. Alex, you can go first.
Can Steve go first?
I can go first.
You can go first, yeah.
30 million euros.
Definitely lower.
Oh.
$1.
Well, Alex, you get one more chance to guess the number.
I said
the
45 last time, just to remind you.
747.
Yeah. Oh no, I said lower.
Oh yeah. Oh well.
No, give him another guess. Give him another guess.
Yeah.
725.
Ooh, that's incorrect.
The number you said before that was higher than that.
Yeah.
I don't remember all the numbers I
You
said.
said 33, I think, or something like that. Anyway,
We need a much more clear. It's your fail.
I won last week. It was crazy. It's possible. All right, let me just.
Oh, yeah, that's the one you
There we
hate.
go.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so the number was 33741, which you guys circled the drain on so fucking hard. The box office was 15.1 mil with, as I said, a $5 million budget. So we'll probably get a sequel. It'll probably be called Halloween H2O, and it'll probably come out in like 2 years.
Smart though to ask me to go first, and then I went over.
Go for the $1. Yeah.
Oh,
I thought it's a little late for these trick or treaters. Like, what the fuck?
Just kidding. Happy. Hey, did you see this ween?
That is actually, yeah, that is actually everybody. That's all the trick or treaters. I think that I spaced them out perfectly. We're gonna get into our final thoughts now. So this is our final thoughts.
Sorry, I was laughing too hard. That was funny, Kim.
That was good, right?
Yeah.
It's time for our final thoughts.
As always, here on Hey Did You See This One, the hit podcast that everybody's talking about every single day of their lives. The guest always goes first. So please, Alex, give us your final thoughts for the film Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. And if you want to give it a rating, please feel free to give it a rating, whether it be out of 5 or out of 10 or stars or bags of popcorn or some completely asinine made up scale. The floor is yours to give us your final thoughts.
Okay. I liked the movie. It was entertaining. I was not scared while I watched it. I was entertained primarily, despite my anticipation of being scared while watching it. It was very fun to watch. I think there's a benefit to watching it now as opposed to back in 95 in a way of absorbing the nostalgia of the time and also seeing it through the lens of it being Paul Rudd's first movie. Like that's not important if you're watching Paul Rudd's first movie when it comes out, but it's funny to see an actor that I adore and am familiar with a lot of his work doing, like, it's just like funny to be like, yeah, it's Paul Rudd. And then he doesn't know that he's famous now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's trying hard because he's like, maybe I'll be famous one day.
Yeah, he's trying to make it. And then and I also thought it made me think like, hey, you know, like if you're cast in fucking Halloween 6 and you think that's shit, that maybe you're gonna be Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
it's true. Because I
like
mean, those Terrifier movies they're hitting hard. Like if you get a get a script that's Terrifier 6, maybe just take it.
Yeah, if you're getting cast in like Saw 11 and you think, oh well, like they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel if they're putting me in this, maybe you're Paul Rudd 20, 30 years from now.
Yeah. You could play Elasto Man in 40 years. You know?
yeah. But yeah, no, it was good. It was a bit jumpy at points, like I think we were drugged. I feel like they cut like some of the movie out or something.
A big chunk, yeah.
Yeah.
We less than 45. We need to cut 6 minutes. 6 minutes need to go.
Say that you were drugged, but other than that, I really enjoyed it, and I would give it I'd give it like probably like 5 placental vials out of 5.
Jesus.
Remember the new dong.
Give me what I want. Give me what I want.
That's so funny to me. Steve, what are your final thoughts for Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers?
I feel
film?
similarly to Alex, where I've never disliked any of the Halloween movies that we've done on this show, but I've always kind of felt a little bit disconnected from the series as a whole. Like I resonate more with Jason Voorhees and Chucky and Freddy Krueger, even though this is sort of the godfather of the genre in a way. I've always kind of felt like it lacked something that could get me into it easier. And like a lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of these movies were made before I was born, and the ones that were made while I was born, I was too young to watch, and I didn't watch until they were almost sort of like rotting vegetables in the back of the fridge that nobody wanted anymore, and they started to remake them. And I started to realize that I had an appreciation for the vegetables when they were fresh, but the rotting ones I don't really care for, you know, like I don't really like the remakes of any of these series, but I do love all of the originals. And watching this one made me feel like, oh, this felt like an attempt to sort of put Michael Myers in the same wheelhouse as Chucky and Freddy and Jason, where it's like, we need to change the sort of mysticism around it so that we can just have him forever. And we don't have to worry about like, why is he alive? Why is he so strong? Why doesn't he need to sleep? Why is he such a good driver? Did he go to driver's ed? Do we have to have a flashback? We're like, okay, Michael, now put it into park. Ding, 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 ding. And he's like really good at it. And they're like, okay, here's your Class G license.
He honks his horn.
But you know, and I was even sort of getting into the idea of like the science and druidic magic sort of like working together, and they're trying to figure that out. But then you start to think about like the grossness of it, and you're like, I don't really know if I like that much. But there was a lot that I did like about this that I didn't like about all the other ones, but it does feel like it's missing that sort of dread while trying to add in the lightheartedness that I like of the other movie franchises. And I don't think there is a good marriage there, because you know, you watch the remakes with the Rob Zombie stuff and they double down on the gruesome hardship of it all and like the nastiness, and you're like, this is too gross, I don't like this, please stop being so twisted. And then you watch the remakes now and you're like, oh, this is for like the weirdos from the 80s who were like, I really wish that they just continued the story after number 2 and they never made it. And they're like, yeah, well, we did it. Anyway, I don't really know how to express how I feel about this movie other than like Alex, like I had a good time, at least. Like I enjoyed it. Like it's not bad. I mean, it's bad, but it's not like bad where you're like, I can never watch this again.
It's not a great movie, but it's fun to watch the movie.
Yeah.
And it's definitely fun to talk about.
And like what you said about this is Paul Rudd's first thing, and to watch it from like somebody like as him being already so uber famous and seeing that this is the thing that he really had to cut his teeth on. You're like, and you know what? He cut his teeth. He did a pretty good job. I think he did a great job. I went into this thinking that it was going to be like, he's a teenager at high school and he's like, I'm Paul Rudd and I got to fight Jason. I didn't think he was going to be like, I'm Loomis and I'm going to find a baby at a bus stop and raise it on my own and love RuneScape. So if I had to give this a rating, I would give this a mostly developed evil fetus that almost took. It didn't quite take, and they had to pull it out last minute.
Clap, please clap.
Give me what I want. Give me what I want.
Here's your baby, Batista.
There's your baby Tista. I really enjoyed this entry. I think my favorite one is still like the night everyone is going crazy in town, like where they're all running around and they're freaking out. I think that's 4. But this one has a lot of interesting retreads of tropes from previous films and has a really brutal Michael Myers. Like he's fucking pretty sadistic in this. He goes on a killing spree in a room of just like scientists, which I think is one of the highlights of this film. He's almost like if Jason didn't do creative kills. It's kind of how I felt about this iteration. It was a very 1995 looking film from a cinematography and soundtrack standpoint, which I enjoyed. I give this one a 4 out of 5, which is probably one of my higher Grimoire ratings. I think that this is like a pretty solid like slasher and doesn't have a lot of like there's some stuff that we can nitpick. But as far as watching it start to finish, I think it's fine. even for somebody like Alex who hasn't seen the last ones, there might be some stuff that you're like, what the fuck? But as far as like a slasher film goes, I think it's pretty coherent. I also give this movie a blood-soaked flannel shirt tied around my waist at the Soundgarden show, but Michael Myers is on a rampage because it's Halloween.
Can I add one more thought?
Give me what I want. Give me what I want.
You heard the man.
Yes,
Alex. You give him what he wants.
Give them what they want.
Something that I forgot to bring up that I liked. I was worried, having watched Halloween 1 and then jumping to Halloween 6, that there was going to be some kind of insane progression.
Right. Yeah.
In terms of like he was going to be able to fly, or like, you know what I mean, like throw a truck at somebody. Like, I thought it was
shoes are like wheelie shoes, or
I know.
Around here, like,
it felt like
that progression only exists in the fucking Freddy universe.
He felt so. It felt so like grounded. It didn't feel like the 6th installment.
The thing about Michael Myers is that, like, almost every single movie, he is exactly the same. It's just the people around him that are like, what the fuck is going on? You know,
like I said to Jason before we did this, I was like, I thought it was going to be kind of like how Jason X is in space, and it's just, you know what I mean. And I thought, like, I was going to watch, or I compared it to watching like the first Mad Max and then Thunderdome, and where you were like, whoa, like what the hell?
Or the first Mad Max and then Furiosa.
Yeah. So I was pleasantly surprised at how grounded and normal it was.
Yeah, I agree with that fully.
I'm glad that we brought you in for this one then, because if we brought you in from like Friday the 13th part 1 to part 6, where he's like a literal zombie with like crazy
who can mist like and just appear wherever he feels like.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that is our show for this evening. It's Halloween. It's All Hallows Eve. It's only Halloween for another 6 minutes. So before Michael Myers stops his rampage, let's do our plugs. Let's plug our shit.
Okay.
I got nothing to plug.
Zardoz.
Wait, no, get out of here, Zardoz.
Let me just plug this in right here and...
Well, Alex, since you don't have anything to plug, do you have a message for the world?
Yeah, I guess I'll plug myself. Unbeknownst to the guy who made my playlist, I do have a playlist on this here podcast. So watch the episodes I was in over and over, so that
they're also funny.
So that that they'll have me back frequently. I love doing the show. So yeah, watch my other episodes.
Well,
Give me what I want.
You'll be back so soon. It's going to make your head spin. How about you, Steve? What do you got on the old burner? What's back burning?
Well, so I always plug Darth Theorist, the channel that I'm on, the Star Wars channel. It's doing pretty well, and I'd love if you guys check it out. We do crossovers, we do weird stories. It's a fan fiction channel basically, where I do all the voices. But we're doing all right. We would love your support. But we're also expanding in different ways, so check it out. I am also on True Crime Stories. I've been told to put my face on there recently, which I am kind of feeling weird about, but they also want me to say my name is Mark, so I'm gonna go ahead right now and say my name's not Mark. It isn't.
It's Mark Myers.
Steve, but they keep asking me to say my name is Mark Myers, and I'm like, why Mark Myers? And they keep sending me this back. And I don't understand. I don't get it. But if you guys ever find me on there and I say my name is Mark, just know my name's not Mark. It's Steve. And
I don't know what to believe.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm so confused.
Okay, Chucky's playing me off, but I got a lot of stuff going on.
Listen.
Give me what I want.
I hear a little bit of Jason at the end of that. That was fucking weird.
Yeah.
Listen, you freaky freaks. This show that you're watching right now is called Hey, Did You See This One? And it can be found on the internet wherever you get podcasts and video on demand. Every single week, except for when we take a week off, you can find us on Twitch and YouTube live at 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay. That's where you find Hey, Did You See This One? On Fridays, that's when I upload the video on demand, and they exist. I want to let everybody know a little something. You can still find our full episodes uncut on Twitch and YouTube for 2 weeks after the fact, where you can get our pre-show. Our pre-show has not reached the heights that I wanted to reach at this point yet. It might, when we open up a Patreon, probably put those there and we'll make them better. But for now, see it everywhere. Everywhere on the internet, we are there. I'd also like to promote Super Kick Professional Wrestling. I'm a professional wrestling announcer. In the month of November, I believe the 26th, whatever the third week is in November, I'm going to be announcing for Super Kick Wrestling as usual at the Great Hall here in Toronto. I'd also like to promote the fact that we had a series of people knocking on our door, ringing our bell, and giving us a happy Halloween. I'm going to make a super cut of all of those of happy Halloween well-wishers into a video that's going to go up sometime over the next few days. And also, while I have you, I'd like to talk about for a moment our Redbubble and our TeePublic, where we have such t-shirts as this, the Grimoire of Familiar Killers, the very series you've been watching all month long. Look at this. Steven, look at this art. You can see Chucky and Freddy and Michael and Jason. We also have this very special 4-year anniversary image. Killaid. Killaid's coming for you. He's going to blast through your doors, and he's going to make you drink his blue milk. It's blue milk.
Just like Star Wars.
Finally, it's like Star Wars. And finally, Twinkerbell. Twinkerbell is the mascot of Hey, Did You See This One? Officially, as of Halloween 2025.
I have one more. I have one more that I.
You've got one more?
Right, yeah, you talk for a second while I.
Okay, here's a picture of Zed from Zarados. He's putting his entire asshole on Alex's face right now. And also, unrelated to any of this, here's a picture of Robert De Niro as Frankenstein. And this is crazy because did you know that Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is a movie from the 1990s starring Robert De Niro where he plays Frankenstein? I did. Only because in the 1990s, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was a video game for the Super Nintendo where you played as Robert De Niro. So find me another game where you play as Robert De Niro. I talked so much. Is it uploaded?
It's coming.
Robert De Niro as Frankenstein.
It's it. And you know what? You know, while you
Oh yeah.
Hold on. While you say that, we'll play this because
Zardoz speaks to you. He demands you synopsize this film. Tell him how, why, who, what occurs in this film.
What I was going to say is we should turn that into a full, it covers the screen when we synopsize, because now that the Grimoire is over, Zardoz is coming back starting next month. Also, one last thing. Next month is Nickvember, Trapped in a Cage month. We did a tournament for the whole month of October. The people spoke. We have our 4 movies and our 4 guests locked in. So next month is Nicolas Cage movie month, where we're going to be talking about 4 very good Nick Cage movies that were chosen by the fans, which is incredible. Like, I never thought we get to the point where we fucking have like that kind of fan engagement. So thank you all for doing that. Thank you all for another amazing fucking Grimoire of Familiar Killers. Everything gets changed up now because we've kind of ended some series, and it's the spring Grimoire is going to be a real real period on that. We got some great things coming up. So I'll do the ending stuff. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that.
Hey, I'm a pirate. Happy Halloween. Hey, did you see that one? That's the name of your show.
Not convinced that that's a sober person.
It was like 4:00 this afternoon. But Alex, there's only one question that can be asked, and it's asked each and every week, and I need you to ask that question right now.
Hey, did you see this one?
Oh, it's not okay. So it's not Halloween anymore. It's officially November 1st. Freddie Michael's gone back to bed. He's sleeping in a cave.
According to my face, it is. I really regret putting all this shit all over my face. I have to go wash it up. Yeah, I shouldn't have done it. Maybe I should just go outside and be like, "I'm Bruce Wayne," and they'll be like,
"What a
"You're not
nightmare
Bruce
for your
Wayne."
eyes."
Yeah.
Like, how much of that have you rubbed into your eyeballs?
None. I've been good about not rubbing it into my eyeballs, but it's all over my pants and my desk and shit. I keep like scratching my eyebrows and stuff.
I've been using a fountain pen all night. I've got pen marks all over my hands.
I might just go walk around in my neighborhood for a minute and just be like, "What are you?" And I'll be like, "I'm Bruce Wayne." Be like, "You don't look like Bruce Wayne." I'm like, "Excuse me. I have to go cry about it for a moment."
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.
I'm coming, brother. Almost there.